Yes, I love it.
Yes, every time it gets me right in the family jewels.
Oh, that's cool.
Right in the nuts.
Hey, you know what? You can't say that because there is a female in the room. It's our first female guest.
You know,
by the way.
I wasn't quite ready to address the elephant in the room.
Okay, wow. All right.
Wow. I feel unimportant now. Thank you.
So I was going to give you a better introduction than
okay.
just
I want
that.
to hear the
Well,
introduction
we
you
can
have.
still do it.
But
I
you've
mean,
already fucked it up. So
I'm sorry.
No, I want to hear all the nice things you have to say about me.
Yeah.
So it's 2019, right?
Good job.
So in the podcast, I have to explain that every time I can what year it is. I have to.
Okay.
I have to remind Connor that he has to be, understanding of everybody's opinions, emotions.
Nah.
If you're not, you're falling behind, and it's
No, trust me. I will listen to everyone's opinions. I'll just think you're wrong.
You rogue.
But see, here's the difference between me and some of your old, crazies on the other side. I will listen and not scream and shout at you, and then just tell you you're wrong. Whereas some other people they don't like to give you much room to talk or time at all. So you're a Nazi. You're fake news.
It's pronounced Nazi.
Oh,
so
shut up. But you get my point.
I get your point.
No one will take 2 seconds to listen to someone else. And I'm a terrible I don't have any room to talk because I sometimes interrupt people and I have a problem and I'm talking to a therapist about it and I'm not really, I don't care. But yes. So how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting?
Absolutely not. I decided to go to a little.
All right, well then.
I went to a little shindig on Friday night.
Shindig. Don't ever say that, please.
I'm gonna put it that way. All right, there may or may not have been drugs and alcohol involved.
Oh my god.
That's not for on the
So like,
what good party doesn't?
So imagine you're in the grungiest apartment ever, and you're surrounded by people like drugged up on meth. That's pretty much what the party was like.
Oh my god.
What?
No, not at all.
Oh.
But I was up until like 3:00 in the morning, and for some reason, God Almighty, I don't know why, but I slept until 5 in the afternoon on Saturday.
My God.
Yeah.
You're a piece of crap.
I know, I know that,
Dude.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
What's funny is my weekend, I did quite a bit of drinking. And
I'm not surprised.
yeah, what's in
I mean, you are the you are the alcoholic.
not even
of the
me,
group.
like my whole family.
I mean, you come
like-
from an alcoholic family.
No,
Yes.
no, not quite. But what's funny is like we went up to Kansas, to see family.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Speaking of Kansas, Nicole's pretty familiar with Kansas as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Before I get into like the actual
I'm not. I
introduction,
don't like to admit it, but
But yeah, before I get into the big over exaggerated.
Is that distracting at all?
I think you should do that the entire time.
I mean, I think it's great.
It may go on and off periodically. That
anyways.
that has to play in the story of my weekend as well, just a little.
So anyway, before I get into like the big over exaggerated introduction that's completely useless, I'm just gonna go and say that Nicole's on our in our podcast tonight.
Yes.
What's
Like I said,
up?
first female guest. How are
Yep.
you feeling? Are you nervous?
No.
Don't be.
Oh, wait,
Okay, good.
wait. Hold on.
What?
Did you just assume her gender?
Oh my god.
Christ Almighty, Nick! I'm going to stab you. This
I might
podcast.
stab you too.
Yeah. See, you're even annoying her.
But understand, Connor,
I don't care what year it is.
it's 2019.
I'm
you
gonna
have
just
to
shut
assume
you down.
You can't just assume everybody's gender. Okay.
You can assume my gender. I give you permission.
She could be an Apache helicopter, and we don't know that until she says
don't know.
what she identifies
She has
as.
to tell us.
What is
Yes.
a excuse?
It's a
What?
military helicopter used for transportating. Transportating.
Transfer. It's actually an attack
Words are
helicopter.
hard.
Well, it's
A lot of
both.
weaponry on that thing.
Yes, but it's also used for transportation
It is.
of military
It is.
personnel as well.
Okay.
But
It is.
anyways,
it's not the Osprey.
So that's the minimal introduction I'll give at the moment. For the moment. But I wanted to do that because you both are familiar with Kansas. So
Yes.
carry on.
Yes. Sorry. No. I'm just saying.
Speaking of Kansas, like carry on, word, my son. I think that's the song.
What?
Yeah, it's by Kansas.
Yeah.
It's a
I
band.
yeah.
Wow. See, now I feel dumb.
Puns.
But anyways, yeah, we went up to we went up there for one night to celebrate my grandparents' 40th wedding anniversary.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. And I'm hesitant to talk about this, but he's not doing well. But no, wait over, bring down the room. No, it's all good. He's what's funny, what's really cool about it though is, like I was chatting with him, briefly about, he was telling me, blah 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 about the cancer.
Have I met
and everything.
said family member?
No.
Okay, cool. Just make sure.
And he was like telling me about him and his buddy talking to him about the same thing, because I guess he had kind of a similar, or may have been the same exact cancer situation. And he just had a real cool attitude about it. It was more, it was like he was like, he just told me to not worry about it, because you know what, he pretty much said screw it, because he's not doing anything about it, which I think was like, well, I'm not gonna worry about it. I was like, it's a pretty good attitude to have. It's like, screw it, I'm not gonna pay for all these inexpensive drugs that may or may not work, and then probably feel like crap, long term. So for the next year or two, or at least.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. But anyways, we went up there for that, and to tolerate some of the family. Alcohol was involved. It's sad. Like, that's what we have to resort to tolerate family members. Is you and your family like that?
Yes.
just you know what? Oh God, we got to spend 4 hours with the family. Get the keg now.
On Christmas, I drink like 5 glasses of champagne.
Oh my
God.
That
Yeah.
stuff's pretty strong, isn't it?
It's really strong,
Yeah.
especially for me because I can't handle my alcohol very well. So
Oh,
it was
no.
a great time, honestly.
I think
I'm
the
so
last
glad
time
I don't have that problem.
Well, yeah, that's true. I don't either, but I will say last night yeah, God, it's been a long day and a half. Last night, I went out with my cousin, yeah, and
He likes metal.
he does. He likes the angry music, and so we went out and we started drinking, because like it was at a country club, and so like we're there's like way too many people in this room. I don't know half of them, because it's just way too many people, and I don't like a lot of people in a room, especially in that situation. But anyway, so there's the keg there, so we're just making trips up to the keg and the tap and everything, and we're just pouring our own drinks and stuff, because it was like one of those private rooms or whatever. Anyways, so we're just like making trips back and tapping, pouring our drinks and whatnot. It was fun. That was at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Oh my goodness. Day drinking.
So yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, day drinking's pretty fun.
dude, it's
best way
great
to
when
live.
you don't have to worry about anything to
Yeah.
do that day or the next day, because then you can just do whatever.
Yeah.
And we went after that, around 7 or so. We went into like a bar that was literally 50 feet from our hotel, so that was fantastic. I was like, Mom, you're a great travel agent. Good one.
Put you next to the bars.
Yeah, it was like hotel next to bar in walking distance. And, it's Kansas, so it's not as easy as here. But anyways, yeah, so we stayed there for, several hours, and then everyone kind of went back to the hotel. I went out with my cousin back to his house, stopped in the liquor store on the way back to his house, and picked up some very potent IPAs and had those the rest of the night. And it was his wife had to drive me back to the hotel because he was gone, and yeah, it was fun. It was funny because it was like we had started so early I came back to the hotel probably midnight. It felt like it was 4 a.m. I was like, man, it's late. And I was like, oh, it's not even midnight yet.
Oh God.
But that's the best thing to do though as a 20-something-year-old because we
great.
can't stay up late anymore. We're too old for
Yeah,
that.
like I told my dad the other day, I went to bed at 9 o'clock and he was like, I haven't done that in years. And I was like, really? Damn, I'm old.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, this is kind of
If
funny.
I'm not in bed by like 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening, like I'm screwed.
Yeah. It's definitely oh my, how things have changed.
I guess when you're in your 20s, it's a lot. I don't know. I'd like to argue that it's probably a lot harder for us to get said amount of sleep and still function properly throughout the rest of the day. Whereas I feel like adults have had like decades of practice of like either getting adequate sleep or not.
Yeah, but do you guys ever think like when we were in high school? By the way, we all went to the same high school. It was
We did.
fun. Shout out to the Go Broncos!
Oh my God. I don't ever want to hear that again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We could edit that out.
Triggered.
It's dumb. But yeah, triggered. I don't ever hear that again. Do you guys ever think like because there were times I know you were probably the same, both of you. Like, do you ever wonder like how you functioned in class with the little amount of sleep that we got on a regular basis?
Oh, between that and college, I mean, I slept minimal.
Dude, it's nuts. Like I would, you know me, we'd stay up and, play Xbox till midnight or later, like regularly. I minus me falling asleep in the Xbox.
Fall asleep in the middle of the game, so
yeah, I'd have like my little mic on my ear and I'd just like wake up and I'm like in a GTA lobby by myself.
Yeah, because everybody had already gotten off and gone to bed.
I know. Or you guys are trying to wake me up, so I just hear screaming in my mind.
Oh yeah,
like while I'm like half asleep. Oh
just
my God,
screaming at the top of our lungs. Yeah.
Dude, that was hilarious. But yeah, like we'd stay up like uber late, and I mean, we'd get up at what time did you have to get up for work the next day? I mean, not work, school.
Like 7,
like 5 or 6.
6:30.
Yeah, something like that.
Dude,
I think it was like
7.
7.
How did we
Maybe
do
6:30.
it? I don't understand.
I would go to bed at like 3 a.m. every night.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Oh my God.
I was
I do that all the time. Yeah.
I stayed up until like 3 a.m. messaging people on Facebook because I was that chick.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
It was really bad.
Oh, God. You were hitting everyone's DMs
Oh
up.
gosh, I was.
Back before
I
it was
really
DMs.
was. I was
sliding
hitting
into
everybody's-
everyone's DMs.
I was the worst.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's cool. So let me ask you, Nicole,
Yes.
when you were in high school, did you like really have like any sort of like strong beliefs or views on anything on the political spectrum at all? Like, did you care or voice your opinion at all, or cared to voice, at all, like in high school?
That was a great question. I cared, but pretty much everything I believed was what my parents believed.
Ah, yes.
They were very strict and like, if you don't believe what we believe, then we're going to kick you out of the house and you're the devil.
Yes, that's
and
weird.
so I was kind of like, okay, cool. I believe this. And honestly, sometimes I look back at my old tweets and like Facebook statuses, and they were the worst. They were so politically charged.
Oh man, you better watch out. Someone might dig those up 4 years from now, and then you could get fired from a job you have 10 years from now.
Yep.
I know.
Better be careful there.
I know. I like deleted old stuff because it was so politically charged, but I had no information behind any of it, so I would just rant
none of
about
us
stuff.
did.
Yeah, I was
in high school.
We were
it's
like 16. We don't.
Everyone
know
has to
anything.
listen to me. Or
Yeah.
you're all terrible people.
Yeah.
God, I hate
Yeah.
reading my old. I get.
Oh my God.
What's it? Time Hop always pulls up like old messages
Dude,
or posts.
It's
and it's
so
painful.
painful. Dude, yeah, it's cringy. It's
so
painful.
cringy.
Like over my weekend, there was several like reminiscing about younger when so and so was younger, and of course it's all of me and my brothers too. So I'm just looking at old photos of me, when I'm in high school, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to ever see that again. And it sucks too, because like we're pretty much like the first age group that we're the first ones to kind of live on the internet, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I mean, I'm glad, again, it could be worse because, we could be 5 years old right now and our parents be posting pictures of shit all on Facebook all the time. oh my God, I think I'd shoot myself.
Yeah.
Like that I feel bad for those kids.
I do too, because they have no private life at all.
Oh, no. Whether you want it or not,
Yeah,
whether
they're not
you're
given-
5 or 10,
Yeah.
sorry, you're on the internet forever.
Yeah. And it's so funny because I remember during the age of like MySpace, like it was like probably a year before Facebook was becoming like a big thing.
Yeah.
I remember my parents were like, you are not allowed to get on MySpace.
That's how my parents were too.
You know, like a lot of parents back then,
MySpace.
like a lot of parents weren't allowing their children to get on that because they didn't want their information out on the internet.
Yeah.
Now it's completely opposite, where it's like I'm going to put my entire family and everything that
Yeah.
God could ever know about me on
It's
the internet.
crazy how things change. My mom was
Yeah.
the same way, and I had all these accounts and I hid it from her. And now she posts like selfies on her Facebook page
Oh, yeah.
all the time. And I'm like, Lynn, what are you doing?
Yeah, like I would like to think that there's still probably some parents, out there that don't post it, spam social media with their kids, but I don't know, man. It's like it's so regular now. Like I told one of my family members, I told several of my family members, because like all the olds are on Facebook now, so it's like,
Yeah,
that's true.
they're like, oh, you guys can hashtag this, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
God. And she's like, look, you can do that. I'm like, I don't have the Facebook app on my phone. I deleted it. No, I didn't delete my account. I want to, but I deleted my Facebook app off my phone months ago. And she was like, what? Why? And I'm like, because it's stupid.
It is stupid.
You know, it's funny they
I
were
was like,
talking.
sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, I interrupted, but
No,
it's
you're
funny.
good.
You referenced the ticket, but the ticket was talking about this too, because a
Yeah.
lot of kids nowadays statistically are not on Facebook anymore.
Really?
Yeah. and
Well, wait.
a
No,
lot-
I
a
know
lot
what you're
more-
about to say too.
Yeah, it's because a lot more kids are on Snapchat and Instagram because
Yeah.
their parents haven't gotten on there yet.
Exactly. It's like cultures. It's like,
Yeah, well,
they
it's
all
funny.
move here, and then these people don't want to live with these people or don't want to be around them, so they just move to another tribe.
The last thing you want to do is make a post on Facebook and then have your grandmother go like, "Oh,
Yeah.
cute."
Yeah, you
or
don't.
Like,
Yeah, like, I
hey,
don't wanna-
how's life? And it's just like that's not
like no one wants to hear that. No one wants to see or hear or read that. So you're just like, if you don't just delete the comment, it's like, I don't want to be on here anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
move to another, social media platform.
Yeah, a
Just
lot
get
of
on
people are on
Instagram.
Snapchat and Instagram now just because their parents are on
Yeah.
Facebook. It's like it's not a big deal, but at the same
Honestly-
time, it's like you're not going to post on Facebook because you're just
Yeah.
afraid your parents or your grandparents are going to A, read it,
Yeah.
or B, comment on it and just make it totally awkward.
Yeah, that's why I just don't post anything.
Well, yeah, I'm not, yeah.
I seriously, like, I've told everyone I tell, I'm like, the only reason I haven't deleted my Facebook is because I like group chats. That's it.
yeah,
Just
The
because
Facebook
it's the
Messenger,
easiest and everyone uses it. And, if I need to message someone, who I want to have on the podcast or something,
It
it's
wouldn't be a
like,
problem if
I
Zach
don't
didn't
have
have
their
an
number.
Android.
Huh?
I said it wouldn't be a problem if Zach didn't have an Android
I know.
because he's the only one
Damn
in our
it.
group that
I
has an
know.
Android.
Yeah, Zach,
So-
if you're listening to this, get a new phone.
Yeah,
I'm so disappointed in him.
I
know,
hate Apple, but get an
it's
iPhone.
so annoying because it's like if everybody has an iPhone, you can have a group chat.
Yeah, it
and
just
you
makes
can
things
leave or you
easier.
can go back in. Like, but if you have an Android,
Oh, tell
you're
me
stuck.
about it. I want to leave a couple different text chat or group texts or whatever
Yeah.
that are all, of course, they're text messages, they're not iMessages. So I cannot leave.
No, yeah, you can't leave an SMS
The only
chat.
the only way I can set it up to where I don't receive messages from people is if I block numbers, and I don't
Yeah.
want to do that
That sucks.
because like
I-
my family members are like sending me like Bible verses and shit. I'm like, I appreciate it, and I appreciate that you're thinking about me and that you want to share. But Jesus, it's every day.
Yeah.
It's every day, and my parents might hear this, and I don't care. It's annoying. It's blowing up my phone, and I don't like it.
Yeah. It's like, I'm an adult and I'm working. Can you not text me?
Yeah, I'm like, if I want to read the Bible, I will read my Bible. It's like, I don't need you to just throw it in my inbox real quick with emojis and stuff. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
No, it's fine. So, speaking
I
of
feel terrible now.
like flashbacks and like how things have changed over time, it's
Mm-hmm.
something that's been relatively new in the
That
media
hasn't
lately.
ruined kids' lives.
Yeah, but it's just funny because it's like, like the new thing that everybody's talking about in the media now is this whole toxic masculinity thing that's going on. Thank God for Gillette. I'm never buying their products ever again. but,
Right, I know.
But no, it's like a couple things, and obviously Nicole can chime in at any
Yes,
point.
please
but,
do. Being you're the female,
But,
we think.
Yeah, until she identifies as said female. Like,
Until she just switches genders,
and she's
just
not allowed.
like
and she's
on a
not allowed
dime.
to say vagina. It has to be front hole because vagina is a gender
What?
normative. Yeah, so
You didn't hear about that?
so vagina is a gender normative term that identifies as a particular female.
I
So
feel
you're
s-
supposed to call it front hole, so that way it's
No.
gender neutral.
I feel,
No, I
feel
will not be calling my vagina a front hole.
Yeah.
I feel like this is ridiculous. We're having to explain to another female what they're supposed to think.
Yeah.
It's
That's
the same
toxic
thing. It's the
masculinity.
same.
You can't
It's
tell.
the same fucking thing
Yeah.
with race. It's like, oh, I'm white, but I should tell other white people that they shouldn't be racist towards black people because you have white privilege, but I'm white and I'm gonna feel your racism towards that person. It's so stupid. I'm gonna tell you how you should feel.
Yeah, it's ass backwards. But anyways, yeah, it's just so the point of toxic masculinity, especially nowadays, is like it's starting in the education system too. Like it's
Yeah,
like they're
it's being
like,
planted in a
school.
young age.
Well, yeah, I mean that's you either learn from your parents or you learn from your school. So if you're in school the majority of your time,
Yeah, that's-
like you have these
yeah.
teachers who are telling you that you're not allowed to play dodgeball, you're not allowed to play tag, you're not allowed to do
Yeah.
any of these extreme recess, entertainment
rambunctious
activities.
stuff
Because it's too rambunctious and it's,
kids. Dude, have you ever seen
And
a
it's
5 or 6 year old? They have way too much energy. Like I was around one
Especially
this
a male,
weekend.
yeah.
I was around a male 6-year-old this weekend, and he was bouncing off the walls at 10 p.m. And I'm like, this is why you need to run them around at school so
Yeah.
they can come home and not want to kill someone.
But no, it's toxic masculinity.
yeah,
and,
that's- Too-
I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
which is fine. That's
Okay,
what you're here
go
for.
ahead.
I have a comment, but do you think that they are? And I don't know everything that they've banned, like from school recess and stuff. But do you think that they've banned things like dodgeball and stuff like that because they're trying to teach a less violent way for kids to grow up?
I can tell you that in high school, and I'm pretty sure in middle school too, we never played dodgeball once.
I was forced to play dodgeball.
Unless it was on our own time at recess, where we kind of obtained a ball and just kind of wanted to do it on our own. But as far as a PE with a coach and and a teacher or someone of authority telling us, hey, this is what we're going to do today, I never did that. I never played dodgeball once.
I was forced to play dodgeball in high school during PE, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and this kid threw a ball at my wrist, and it immediately it didn't break, but it swelled up.
Oh.
And I went to the coach, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm getting hurt, and she made me play dodgeball.
Oh. Well,
I
that's,
just have a bone to pick with dodgeball in particular.
and that's fine. But you see it okay,
So the point that I was going to argue was the fact that there's a couple ways to look at it, right? So I'd say dodgeball is probably the one exception to banning a sport, even though I'm not necessarily in favor of that. But I would say that a lot of times what happens, especially nowadays with the whole bullying thing, a lot of times kids are either picked last or they're picked on during dodgeball and they're getting pegged by everybody in the gym.
Yeah.
That I could totally see why you would want to ban that, just to prevent people from getting
Or
picked
just,
on. or whatever.
hey, be like, or I mean, there are coaches, there are teachers, pick the teams yourself,
Yeah, that would
you
make
feel
too much sense.
That's a good point. Make it
split
fair.
the room.
Yeah,
Just be like, luck of the draw. You.
Totally
you.
agree, but-
Yeah. Or just be like,
I don't know. Apparently they don't
throw
get
a
paid enough,
challenge
so
in
why would
there.
they do that?
Throw a challenge in there and be like, that one big kid, yeah, he can only use his left arm.
Oh my gosh.
just, yeah, whatever. But that's not fair because, the
and
world's
I've-
completely fair.
And I've talked to other females about entertainment activities during recess and stuff, and a lot of them would join in, tag. That was
Yeah.
cool. Or
That's safe.
grounders or hide and seek and stuff
Grounders.
like that. Like males and females would join in that kind of stuff because it wasn't a big deal. But they're getting rid of that, which is not only affecting the males, but it's also affecting the females.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I don't want to say it's ironic, but it's just kind of shooting themselves in their own foot. It's we're gonna get rid of tag because it's aggressive in male nature,
Yeah.
but you're also getting rid of the
We're
stuff
gonna-
that the females want to do too. Because females still want to play basketball, they still want to play tag. Some of them enjoy doing that.
You
stuff
have
with
to.
the
I
guys.
did, yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
get their aggressnick
It's-
out of the way. You have to get it out in a somewhat healthy form, or else
Yeah.
like I said, kids are bouncing off the wall.
Yeah, and you know what the
constantly.
kids turn to when they can't and do this stuff during school and
Yeah,
recess?
probably not
they turn into Fortnite, and all they do is say like horrible things to other people on the
Yeah.
internet.
Oh my God!
Because
Yes.
not only are they like behind a microphone or a TV, but
They have
like
keyboard courage.
yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same deal. It's
except
like
it's worse because the kids don't understand like
what they're
not to
actually
say
saying,
because
or what that actually means.
yeah, because they're not told to say no,
Yeah.
like or they're not, they're not
Like,
told,
hey, you probably shouldn't threaten to stab someone.
Yeah.
Because I'm serious. Like, I mean, you're playing video games online. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because you're not face to face with the person. Same thing
Yeah.
with social media. It's like
Yeah.
you have all these young kids that are just, I mean, saying awful things, or even hell, adults. I mean, it's probably actually more so adults.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Where it's like, you're saying stuff that you would never say to someone's face.
Yeah.
You're just writing a paragraph about how you're gonna kill someone because they're a Nazi. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's too much.
I would rather kids play dodgeball than go home and play Fortnite, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I'd much rather would have kids do that.
Yeah.
Because like playing,
Even if they get their wrist hurt.
it hurt really bad, you guys. Okay.
Yeah. That way they can't work the Xbox controller after that. They can't do it all.
Yeah.
Any of it.
Yeah. But I think I would much rather kids do that than play like video games or something like that, because to your point, like they get online and they say all this shit that
Yeah.
they don't realize that there's consequences to everything.
Yeah.
And they can really hurt other people online. Like some people are like really sensitive, but they say like some mean shit online, and
Yeah.
it can have a lot of consequences, and they don't really think about it. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
completely agree. It's that logic is applicable to a lot of different things. The no consequences or not learning from what you're actually doing. It's we're gonna have to do some editing here because Nick is being a fuck.
he is being a fuck. But what else is new?
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk shit about him while he's gone.
Yeah, he had to take a trip to the little boys' room, I guess. He
Yeah.
drank that beer way too fucking quick.
He did. Let's air up some of his dirty laundry. I mean, what?
Yeah. Oh,
I didn't- what?
Nick, there you are.
Oh yeah.
I was just telling the audience about how we're gonna have to do some editing
Why?
because we
Did you hear it?
we'll just hear fucking just damn it nose blowing. And it was funny because Nicole kind of ran out of steam for about 2 seconds, and then we hear just you blowing your nose in the background.
I couldn't breathe out of my nose, and it was affecting
That's
me
right.
talking
Dude,
to the microphone.
Just
so.
do some cocaine and you'll be fine.
Dude, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what keys are for. I mean,
Yeah, no, but what Nicole was saying while you were gone is like, they don't realize what they're saying and there's consequences. And I was like, well, that's applicable to a lot of different things,
Yeah.
especially when they're kids and they're not being, taught what they need to be taught at home. Especially when they're
Well, and
at
it's
school
annoying
the
too because
majority
there
of the
are,
time.
like there's a girl, and again it's anecdotal, but there's a girl that I know from Kansas who's a teacher, and she teaches elementary school, and she'll try and teach things that are in 2019 against the grain from what other teachers are doing in their
Oh,
curriculum,
yeah.
and she'll get in trouble for it.
That's so messed up.
And it's so annoying because it's like if she's the teacher, she should have her own curriculum,
Yeah.
but because it's not
well,
accepting of everybody in the room or whatever it may be,
What's
like
screwed up is, and that sucks because I can totally be on board with, don't push your politics in a classroom. I get like that. Okay, fine. I'm cool. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, just kind of your general moralities and values of, hey, like, I mean, what's the golden rule?
Treat others as you would want to be
Thank you,
treated.
Nicole. Exactly. Like, but I mean, just simple shit like that, where it's like kids, the dumbest kids can understand. Like, hey, don't yell at this other person because you wouldn't want that done to you.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, but yeah,
They should have like a class that's like how to not be a shitty person 101.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Started
and
at 5
obviously,
years old.
Obviously, I know it's kind of a joke, but like that should be taught by your parents,
It should be.
right?
Yeah.
And
It should be taught by your parents and the teachers, because even the teachers, again, you
I
don't have
agree.
to interject your politics in a classroom, but you should still be like, kids are acting up in class, the teacher's got to do something about it.
yeah.
yeah, I agree. But And it's annoying too because it's like if a child acts up in class, you know, I totally lost my train of thought.
I can hop in here.
Go ahead.
If you want to go
Okay.
ahead and carry on.
I think part of it though is that a lot of kids don't have like good parental role models at home, and the second place that they're spending all of their time aside from home is at school. So if they're not getting it at home, then I think it is appropriate to have that. It's needed in the school system to teach like kids how to grow up to be like decent human beings, because a lot of them like.
Yeah.
I think that we're all probably really lucky in that like we had good parents, but
Yeah.
not all kids have that at home.
Yeah, but again, like you should still tell kids, the simple stuff of, hey, you shouldn't. Thank you, Nick. You shouldn't fuck up the table. No. You shouldn't just. You shouldn't be a shitty person to want. You got to teach kids that, because they don't care. They don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and they don't know the consequences of
Yes, exactly.
the things that they say to others.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so, by the way, did you see that Gillette commercial?
I did see the
Nicole?
Gillette commercial. I have thoughts on it.
Yeah. Let us know. Tell us
Have at
those.
it.
Tell us
Please,
those
God.
thoughts.
Okay, well, I will say the first time I saw it, I was moved emotionally. I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, finally!" But I read a lot of different viewpoints on it because I know that it was really controversial, and so I wanted to educate myself. I thought that the idea behind it was admirable.
Yeah.
I think that the execution was questionable.
Yeah.
I think they could have done it it was really harsh, honestly.
It felt like it was way too forced.
Yes, it did.
Right?
It did feel forced.
Like, I
and,
get that,
yeah.
hey, like, but this is another thing. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Boys will be boys, but that doesn't mean boys are just gonna start raping people. Like that. That's the whole, like, did they try to do the whole Me Too thing, and it's like,
I will say, if somebody says to me one more time in my life, "Ugh, get over it, boys will be boys," I'm gonna freak out.
oh no, you feel like, I feel like you're speaking from experience.
I
Did you have
am.
something bad happen to you?
Oh my god, he knows.
We're gonna be here a while, or
We're
what?
gonna be here
Yeah,
all
we'll be here a while.
We're gonna be here
Oh,
all
God.
night.
Well,
But
just pick one off the top.
yeah, I'm not gonna go into anything like too deep.
No,
but,
you don't have to.
One thing that like always stands out in my mind when people say boys will be boys, and most people probably don't make this connection. I remember though in high school, there was a really strict dress code, especially for women, boys too.
Yeah.
But the girls, our shorts couldn't be too short. We weren't allowed to wear leggings because they were as pants because they were too tight, and
Yeah.
our tank tops, they couldn't be thin tank tops. They had to be like at least 3 fingers thick.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
I remember
that.
like asking my mom about it, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, this is so stupid. And she's like, well, if you wear those things, you're going to be a distraction to boys, and it distracts them from doing their work. and I heard that not just from her, but from, so many people. And then if you broke the dress code, they would literally humiliate you in front of your entire class, send you to the office.
That part was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
And
I'm
you
just
talk about
like-
distractions.
I know. And I'm like, so you're telling me that I can't dress this way because these boys can't keep it in their pants? No.
Yeah.
That's like one thing that stands out in my head. I'm just like, okay, yeah, boys will be boys, but like,
Yeah.
that's not my problem. Like, I don't need, it's not my job to fix that. You know?
That is true. But I will say what is crazy though, and we grew up here and went to school for the most part here, like at least most of my life for sure. And then I hear about, like all these, like some schools in Dallas, and especially like the private schools and stuff, like you have to wear a school uniform.
Yeah.
That, I think I would have shot myself.
I would have loved wearing a school uniform. I don't know why.
Man, I don't know. I feel like that's way too weird. Like everyone look.
Yeah.
It's like what's the thing everyone's putting in the memes now for to kind of represent liberals, like the computer player. What is, what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about like,
You know what I'm talking
the
about?
picture of the gray person or whatever?
Yeah, the gray person.
Yeah.
It's like a computer player. Yeah, I think that's everyone in school. It's just no one there. You guys are all the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hard topic to get into because like it's been proven that like guys learn differently than females do.
Yeah, that's true.
And not to say anything necessarily extra politically charged on the topic, but
No, please do.
But the education system is tailored more towards females, and it doesn't always seem that way. But the way that the exams work, the quizzes work, and all that kind of stuff, is tailored towards women. And
Why
a lot
is
of people,
that?
it has to do with the way that like women process information through education, and males just don't do that. It's not to say that typical like
You say more males are like what is it? Tactile learn more males learn by doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for males
That's
to pick
sure
up.
as hell. That's how
yeah,
I
it's
learn.
it's a lot easier for males to pick up on tactile or visual. You know, whereas with females, it's a lot easier for them. At least generally speaking, not to every exception,
Yeah.
but generally speaking, women are a lot better at studying. They're a lot better at reading and like regurgitating information a lot better than males are.
They
It's a
can
lot
sit in
harder.
a lecture.
Yeah,
in class.
women
Yeah,
can
'cause
sit in a
I
lecture
will
and
wanna
they
kill
can
myself in a
and they
lecture.
can gather all that information and then like not study a whole lot extra more than guys do, and still do really really well in exams. Where,
Yeah.
Again, males don't generally
Yeah.
speaking don't really do that well when it comes
Because I could
to,
tell
like-
you right
Yeah.
now, if I tried to study, I can tell you right now, and my parents could probably tell you, I didn't study hardly at all in
Yeah.
high school. And I mean, I passed, but I didn't have the best grades, but I still did fine. But like, studying wouldn't help me at all, really. I mean, like,
I
like,
mean, that's why you see, and again, it's all general, right? I mean, there's anecdotal exceptions to it
well,
all,
so
but
you also have to
but-
memorize a bunch of bullshit in high school that doesn't mean anything, and it's
Well,
not going to
it's
help you in life.
True.
Yeah.
Our education system is fucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the whole privatizing schools in general, I think, would be an interesting way to go. Like all of them.
I agree.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
business competition will win every time.
but yeah, so it's interesting because just again to kind of tie up the loose end on that one is that biologically males have a tendency to be more ADD than females do.
Yeah.
And it's because like if you think about it from a biological perspective, yeah, like if you're a male and you're going out to hunt the animal, to bring it back to the cave, like you're supposed to be hyper aware and like attention deficit to the surroundings around you.
Yeah, you focus on this thing and this thing only.
But when you're ADD, it's like, you're
Yeah,
distracted by the things that
yeah.
are around you, and it's for purpose.
Yeah.
It's for survival reasons.
Yeah, I
That's
see
why
what you
males are typically more ADD than females because they are supposed to be aware of their surroundings at all times to be prepared for any situation at a given time.
Yeah.
Whereas the
I can
nurturing
see that.
biological perspective of a female is more focused and more. It's just easier for them to kind of like read into what the situation is.
Yeah, I could
and
see
assess
that.
it from there.
I could see that for sure.
And that's just one way of looking at it. It's not the all end all be all answer to that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where I would probably say generally, I think everybody would agree that the education system should be at least looked at.
Oh my gosh.
You
yeah,
know?
it's terrible how it is right
yeah.
now. Honestly, it's we're so far behind like every other first world country in terms of education. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because, if you look at it from any perspective, like you have teachers and you have the administrative system like that's in education, and it's hard to find a balance between who gets what and how you affect the parents, because a lot of times things will happen in school and the parents disagree or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's a never-ending battle. Like I've seen it with teachers before where it's like they want to do this one
Yeah.
particular thing, and then the teacher's like,
Yeah.
or the parents like no, or the administrator's like no, and it's
That's what I'm saying, dude. I think
That's
it would
why
be.
I
I,
agree,
think it
like-
would be so interesting and so much more productive if you had like, you were able to choose. Okay, I'm going to send my kid to this school because they have a firm belief in this and this. I want my kid to learn this and believe in this. I want to send my kid to this school because their beliefs and views line up with mine.
I think we should have more. Yes,
I think that'd
And-
be interesting.
I think it would too. And I think part of the solution to that is more charter schools.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're still like free
Yeah.
for kids like
Yeah.
who can't afford private school, but a lot of them are very focused in different ways. And
Yeah.
charter
they're-
school is probably the best
But
way
it's
to
like,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just because like a private school is more like picking a college, and it's like
That's true.
if you
It's
pick
so
And not everyone can
expensive.
it
afford
is, and it's also like
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but a lot of times if people pick a particular college, it's usually based on either political view, or it's based on price, or it's based on location.
Yeah.
Like some people will pick a particular school
And
because it suits their political agenda, and it's not
yeah.
always the case. But like
Or college environment.
but it's the same idea with like your idea with private school is
Yeah.
the only thing that was at least cool for me to say, at least to an extent with UNT
What's
was
cool about that town? Really?
It's
I'm
the
not gonna
best town ever.
I'm not going to say a lot on the political agenda behind UNT.
Oh my god!
But I
Well,
will
we
say
all
at
know
least,
it.
yeah. But at least I'll say I was at least a little eye opening for me to get a
I'm
different
sure.
perspective, right?
I'm sure.
And when you're in a private school, you don't always get that different perspective. And I think growing up for a child, it's good to have
Yeah.
that.
It is good.
But without being forceful.
Yeah, that's
know?
the thing. It's like, well, not everyone's gonna have that eye-opening moment.
And the
they
problem
could
is-
come out of high school thinking that they're, entitled to this and that, and
Yeah.
especially when they're majoring in stuff like, shit that doesn't matter or it's not going to matter. It's not
Yeah.
gonna get them a job.
I mean, I wish the education system prior to college was a little bit more like college, because at least with college you have,
Or at least
you have
more preparing for life.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, but that's an endless argument.
That's true.
But the
But again-
idea, at least with college, like at least you can choose what you're interested in doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the cores that should be fundamentals of your education,
Oh,
but at least
yeah.
you have the choice of what you want to study and what you want to learn.
Yeah.
Because in anything before college, it's just like I really don't want to learn this.
Yeah,
because
no,
it's-
that's what I'm saying. It's
like
like
it has no
yeah.
attraction to me. I don't want anything
Yeah.
to do with this. But you're forced to take
cool.
it anyways.
Like you're telling me about what happened in some, like some country or war that doesn't, and I feel like I'm actually way more interested in history than I was in high school now.
Really?
I'm not to where I will just start reading novels all day long or textbooks. No, I'm not that interested, but I am genuinely interested in certain things.
yeah.
But I also know that I don't need to know about, what happened on the other side of the earth in this particular decade or whatever. It's like, it's not that important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to figure out, okay, well, like, am I good at this? Do I like doing this? I'm terrible at math, so I don't want to do that.
Right.
Yeah. My mom, speaking of whenever you were saying like, the schools may want to do one thing and the parents don't agree.
Yeah.
My mom was like the epitome of that, because we would come home with homework, and if she didn't want us doing it, she would write a note to the teacher and be like,
Man, I wish I had that. My parents would parents would bitch at me for not doing homework all the time.
No. My mom was like, she's not doing this homework. This is ridiculous. One time she burned my sister's homework sheet and sent it back half burned to the teacher and
That's
said,
awesome.
Yeah, I cried a lot in elementary school.
That is
I had to have
awesome.
really tough conversations with my teachers about my mom not letting me do the
Jesus.
homework.
I do think it is bullshit though, like the amount of like homework that you like there that it's expected to do now.
Yeah.
I think
it
it's
is.
ridiculous. I mean, you're already at school for 7 hours
All
or 8
day.
hours or sometimes
Yeah.
more a day.
Like, you need to give kids other things to do, like more
Yeah.
creative outlets if they want to do like athletics, more
I
time for
agree.
athletics, because
I agree.
kids learn on it, in my opinion, way more about just like life and themselves in general when they're involved
By not
in,
just
like,
sitting at a desk in a classroom.
Yeah, or
I totally.
sitting
That's what Nick was
home,
saying.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
me and a lot of people that I know, especially in my line of work, which the industry that I'm in is mostly dudes.
Yeah.
And like I always learn by doing it myself.
Yeah.
Like, cool, you can tell me how to do it, but until I do it myself,
You're not gonna
I'm
get
not
it.
gonna get it. I'm not gonna retain that information.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Nick is very similar.
I'm the same way, and that's why. And again, it's generally speaking, but
Yeah.
that's why you'll see usually more guys in
Yeah.
after-school programs when it comes to like tutors and stuff, because guys usually either need that hands-on experience, like one-on-one, or they need that tactile, like let
Yeah.
me do it and then figure it
Yeah.
out from there. Whereas in a learning environment where the teacher's speaking to everybody, it's not a great learning environment for males.
Yeah.
Typically speaking.
I agree. And yeah, that'd be cool. But again, it's the education, the public schools are so structured in a way that just is, I feel like it's
so unhelpful.
it's not productive. It's very like it just doesn't work very well.
I agree
And I
with
feel
you.
especially it doesn't help with kids that are drugged up on
Well, and it
God
makes it
knows
hard
what.
too, because like the whole idea behind, elementary, middle school, and high school is to
Yeah.
prepare you for college.
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
And it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh,
doesn't-
that's cool. You didn't learn how to learn about how to do your taxes and shit. No,
No.
no way. Like I think.
But college doesn't even teach you that either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there was something recent that happened that I was talking to you about. Like you didn't know how to do. I forget what it was, and I was like, if you told your dad that you didn't know how to do that, and you just and you just spent how much money on
Oh, I think
on
we were talking about
UNT?
like Excel or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was like,
Like,
I don't know how to use
my
Excel.
coworker had to
Like,
teach me how to use
I would
Excel.
shoot
Yeah.
Wait.
someone.
Let me just pause. You don't know how to use Excel?
He didn't.
I didn't.
He does now.
I'd like to say I'm pretty much an expert at Excel now.
Yeah, you're probably way better than I am.
But when my first job out of college after retail,
yeah,
I
it's
didn't
like,
know how to do it, and it's because like high school and college never taught me how to do that.
Yeah.
I will also say I recently learned that Nick didn't know how to make scrambled eggs.
What?
Yeah, but that's a different story.
Oh, wow. Shots fired.
Yeah, I do now. Just to clarify,
Okay, good.
I do now.
Because all you do is crack the egg and put it in the pan and just turn it on.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at seasoning
Move
too.
them around
I'm not
a
gonna
little
lie.
bit.
Like,
Yeah, you do the whole.
yeah, the salt
Sprinkles.
bay.
Salt bay.
Yeah.
Oh, God. See, you guys spend more time on the internet than I do.
Yeah, that's because you're an old
Jesus
soul
Christ.
who likes to drink scotch and
And then just go
to
straight
bed early.
Bed.
Yeah.
I admire that though.
Yeah.
That's
so
way
much-
better.
It's so not like I
have different avenues that help me go to sleep than alcohol. So
Ew.
Ew.
I'm not talking about jerking
Oh,
off.
okay. Wow. I actually
Because
wasn't
sometimes it has the
thinking about
reverse
that.
effect.
My mind went there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
See,
like
that-
It's
you know,
because he tells me
it's the
about
theme-
it.
Oh.
Not always,
God
no.
bless your soul.
yeah,
He just likes to screw with you.
yeah. I mean, that's just who I am.
Nick screws with everyone. Though. You have to
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
I want to shoot him a lot.
Well, you know, if I wasn't picked on as much as I was in school, like I wouldn't be who I am.
That's
So,
very unfortunate. I was too, Nick.
but it made me into
did
who
a
I am
lot-
now.
I
so-
did. I got picked on a lot in school, but I also picked on people a lot. in
Yeah,
high
you were
school.
a
I was
dick in
like
middle
the,
school.
I was like the middle. Like I'm gonna get picked on, so I'm gonna pick on someone else and make myself feel better because I'm a self-conscious, kid that is just angry at life and
Yeah.
don't know what to do about certain things
Were
because
you
you're
a bully?
kid.
He was a bully
I
in
was
middle
a
Oh my
school.
bully.
God.
In middle school, he was for sure.
I was just a shitty kid in middle school.
Everybody
you
is,
would
I
pick on
think.
people in middle school.
That's what I'm saying. I just said I did. But I also got picked on a lot in middle school.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like as soon as I got to high school, I shut up and I stopped like acting out. I was like, you know what? I'm going into high school.
Yeah.
It was a
There's gonna
fresh
be
start,
lot.
you know.
Yeah, it was a fresh start. And I shut up and I kept to myself and I never really had any trouble. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when like when you first start out too, like when you take some high school classes and middle
you're a
school,
fish.
and you're like, yeah, you're a fish in a class with some mostly sophomores and sometimes even juniors that are really dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun. It's not really, but anyways, yeah, no one really bothers you, or at least not me, when I was shut my mouth.
Yeah.
I got bullied in high school, very little, but the people who did bully me were either the really, really dumb kids or the really, really smart kids.
Yeah.
So the dumb kids would be like, oh my gosh, you got an A on your test. What a loser.
It's like I can't win.
And yeah,
Son
and then
of
the
a
smart
bitch.
kids were like, oh my gosh, you only got a B plus. Wow, you suck. And I'm just like, okay, cool,
What's
thanks.
funny, and then, yeah, like, but the funny thing is like, I don't know if this has anything to do with me being a male or not, but like, I never really got, I don't know if I ever got like crap because of my grades. I think really it was more just other stuff.
Okay.
Oh, it's like a hallway.
I did get a little bit of kickback.
I
on
may have, and I
grades,
just
but-
don't remember it because it doesn't stick with me. I don't know. I feel like it's more so other stuff, just acting out because I was angry and I didn't enjoy being a child. It's funny how that works too. It's like, I did not like living at home and going to school and being a child. I hated it. And then you move out, you actually start being an adult, and you're like, man, this is kind of dope.
I have mixed feelings about it.
It's expensive, but it costs money, and I have to pay for stuff. But
I have mixed feelings.
I can do it. That's because you were able to do pretty much whatever you wanted when you were a kid.
That's true.
You know me and my family. I was not, on the other hand.
That's true. I did have a different experience growing up than.
But
some.
what's funny is, and what's interesting is, and my dad gives me crap for this all the time too, and I still get picked on by my I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No.
Your
No,
dad kicks you in the nuts a lot.
I give my dad shit, and he gives me shit. It's it's a very caring relationship. But anyways, it's funny, how that works. Like my parents were pretty strict.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I would live there, but it's like now, I mean, you move out, you start contributing to society, and they kind of just let up. But what's funny is like, my dad, and this is where he can't figure out how it happened, but like it's definitely my friends. I say that right.
Are you talking
now.
about the politics? Because you
Yes.
talked about this in a past episode.
I know I did, but like my parents actually did a pretty good job of raising me and my brothers and leaving their politics out of it.
That's awesome.
But still, like, you know, making emphasis on, hey, you shouldn't do this because, you know, there's consequences for your actions. Duh. Like, you know, you can't. What is wrong with you, Nick? God,
I don't know.
Jesus,
shut up.
I'm sorry. I just had to kick you in the nuts. But
Can I not yawn? It's almost my bedtime.
Oh my gosh.
Nick, it is 8:11.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I should be the one bitching
I was going to
about
say, yeah, you should be the one bitching about it.
yeah, but I spent way too much time in a car today, so.
Anyway,
yeah.
so carry on.
I don't know.
With whatever your point was.
I don't
You were talking
know.
about your parents.
Yeah, I was.
You were just talking about how they kept politics out of growing up.
Yeah.
That's why politics was never like huge for you growing up in
yeah,
school.
and then it's like,
And then once you got out, it was like all the way to the deep end.
And then you know, when we're at the bar this past last night actually, and you know, my dad's like, or my mom and my dad, they're both like, oh no, don't talk about Trump around Connor. and we're like, don't you know, badmouth Trump or this and that. I was like, go ahead, like I want to hear your thoughts. Like I'm the guy now that wants to get into discussions and debates with people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
And you know, whereas every time my dad's like, you know, someone brings up Trump or I bring up, you know,
Or politics in general,
or
yeah.
something political.
Your dad's like, oh God, he's gonna get started again.
My dad's like, oh God, just rolls his eyes. He's just like, oh God, don't get Connor started.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, you know, I know there's a time and place, but you know, it's funny when you know, your parents, you're like, oh God, no. Like, yeah.
I'm glad I have the parents I do,
It's
because when
pretty
I get
funny.
on those, they're like, oh, I want to hear what you
Yeah,
have
you're
to
like,
say.
oh, I want to know what you've learned. Tell
Yeah,
me more.
my parents are definitely like, oh, tell me what you've learned.
Yeah,
I'm
my
like,
parents are just
your
like,
parents
oh,
are like, ah,
roll
God.
the eyes and
Yeah.
like just, oh, it's Connor. Oh God, you know, it's just funny.
My parents are like blind supporters. Like,
oh God.
yeah.
for-
So I
That's-
can't have conversations
that's just
with
as
them.
bad.
It is because they don't have
for which
facts.
side though?
They're super Republican.
Really?
My entire
Okay.
extended family of like 30 people are all super conservative, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
I could see
but-
how that might have rubbed you the wrong way.
Yeah,
because
but-
there are things that
yeah.
I don't agree with that I you know that you know hardcore Republicans would tell you they don't agree with.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You know, sorry. Go ahead. I know you were about to.
You're fine.
How
Tell us
dare you
what-
interrupt her?
Sorry, I just
That's toxic masculinity.
God, kill yourself, Nick.
All right.
Say no more.
Okay. I'm ready to end this misery called life. I mean,
Oh my
whatever.
gosh, stop. I was just
That's
gonna say that
terrible.
it bothers me whenever people like they have really strong political opinions, but they don't have any facts to back things up. Because I
agree.
I try to have those conversations with my parents, but they're just like, Trump is the best and everybody else sucks. And I'm like, okay, why is he the best? And they can't say like they
Yeah.
can't provide any
Yeah.
backup info, and they always test me because
Yeah.
they're like, Nicole, you don't know anything about politics. And I'm like, honestly, I probably know more than you do because I read a
Yeah.
lot more than you do.
Yeah.
And I actually like understand like both sides of it.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate both sides. So
But
it's tough.
I will say, like, I mean, do you watch a lot of news?
Yeah. And
You do?
I watch it and I read it.
Ugh.
I love news.
That's the part. I mean,
I like news that's not on TV,
yeah, that's pretty much.
because news that's on the TV is it's fake news.
A lot of it is
Well,
fake news,
and
but
it's
I think
it's
yeah.
I feel like because
There's an agenda. There's an overarching
Oh yeah.
company that is politically driven to make money based
It's-
on making negative news. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's well.
it doesn't matter if it's Fox or CNN. Like,
It's
there's always
one,
some political
it's just
agenda
very
that's being
biased,
charged.
and then two, the way they actually will present said news to you is very skewed and very edited, and they only want you to
Yeah.
hear this part
Yeah.
of what this person said, so it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And then they'll comment on it and be like, "Well, that's that's not right. That you shouldn't do that," and then start virtue signaling to the whole country.
Yeah.
And I can't stand it. And that last whole thing with the those kids at the pro-life rally, and then there was the now that one dude, that black guy, the gay black guy from that show Empire, who was claiming that he was like, there was a hate crime that, these other guys came up to him and said, this is MAGA country in Chicago, which is not MAGA country.
Definitely not.
And said that they threw like a noose over his neck and poured bleach on him or something, and said, and like beat the shit out of him. But like there were so many holes in his story that like were now, and I think it's being picked apart even more now. And what's funny is like I don't really see that being pushed in the news a whole lot. It's just I think there's a lot of when the news or news anchors or whatever, when they start realizing that, hey, this could be picked apart really easily, and there's a bunch of holes being poked in our story, they kind of just like, oh, let's not pay attention. Let's get to the next story.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of that,
They don't want people to like uncover that they're actually full of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Which is sad, because honestly, it's for the majority of like the things that have happened in the last 2 or 3 years on the news has been picked apart.
Oh yeah.
And it's just,
I'm telling you,
sad.
dude, those last couple stories, I mean, here in the last few months too, I mean, it's gotten so bad that I'm like, I don't believe anything anyone says on TV. It's ridiculous, because it's like you have to take, like you said.
I mean, I don't even watch Fox News anymore.
Dude, yeah, I mean, all of it's trash.
All of it is trash.
It's all scary.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those stories, like with hate crimes and stuff like that, turned out to be false. Like after they dug into it, like a lot of like the hate crimes where people were spray painting like on buildings saying like "fags get out" or like women suck or something like that, were usually done by people who are gay or women, just to just to make it seem like the people on the right side are the ones that are causing the issues.
Yeah,
like. You know what I mean? It's just
No, I know what you're saying.
Not saying that there aren't things that could have happened where people were doing bad things like that, but a lot of those stories were picked apart and proven by the people. That it was like the women or the gay community or the LGBTQ or whatever, like we're the ones doing it to put more fire on the other side. Yeah. So.
Yeah. What's funny about that is, and this is another topic, but I don't remember what her name was, but I saw some video of Tucker Carlson on the news interviewing some girl that was like a lesbian, but she was like speaking out the fact that she's not supportive of the whole trans thing, because it's like you have that, like that term you just said, LGBT or whatever, where it's like, all right, what does it stand for? Like lesbian, gay, bi, and then there's another one that really has no connection to the other three as trans. So like the first three are sexual orientations, cool. Like,
it's lesbian, gay, bisexual.
Yeah, and but
trans, and then I forget what Q is.
I don't. Queer.
Oh yeah, queer. Because somehow queer is different than gay, but I guess I don't know. I'm not educated.
Yeah, shit. Yeah. But like trans, like that.
And there's P for pansexual
There's
too.
a whole nother like. That's a whole nother thing. That's not sexual orientation. That's like you mentally trying to.
It's like your identity. Kind of.
It's. I mean, it's literally a mental illness. I at least I think so. I think trans people have a mental illness, and I know that's gonna cause a lot of.
Oh, that's extremely charged, Connor.
That's a lot of controversy.
How dare you?
There. But like seriously, like you're gonna tell me just because
I'm leaving. I'm done.
See, this is the example of the far left. They're just like, you know what? I'm triggered. I'm done, and I want to leave. And I'm going to shout at you while I walk away. Yeah. By the way, that's another. Damn it. But it's just
we got so far away from toxic masculinity. But
I know.
Fine.
Yeah, let's reel it back in, boys.
I don't know. I'm doing
Connor started going on a tangent.
I'm sorry. I have ADD. I can't.
He's the short fused one in the group. You get the fuse. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just know.
No,
it's been a long weekend.
So let me go and reel it back in real quick. So outside of the education system with toxic masculinity, the other black and white, because people for some reason view it in black and white instead of gray, like it should be.
Like the entire world?
Everything should be gray, but everybody sees it so black and white. It's so aggravating.
Or at least pretends to see it. That's the other problem, too.
But they say that, like...
virtue signaling is stupid.
Yeah. Anyway.
You should think this way because you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
If you don't, you should go to hell.
You're going to get me on tangents that I don't want to get on tangents about. Like, for instance, like I was on a dating app and I saw some girl who put, I'm anti-sapiosexual. And I had to look up what
What does that mean?
I had to look it up.
It's like,
That's interesting.
what?
Apparently,
that.
well, maybe I'm getting it confused with one of the other.
Well,
fucking
It might be.
the only unfortunate thing now is that everyone listening to this knows Nick's on a dating app.
yeah, whatever. I don't care.
That's all right. I think we all have at some point or
Yeah.
another.
You know, I'm single as a Pringle man. Whatever. I don't care.
Single. Good God.
But anyways, and again,
the
I
same.
get all the different sexual orientations confused. But I remember one of them saying that maybe it's pansexual or sapiosexual. It's one of them. But
Either way.
it's like it like means that the girl is attracted to boys and girls regardless of whether they have a penis or a vagina.
Isn't that bi?
No, bi means that you're into both males and females, but sapio
Oh,
or
I
pan
think it-
means that like you can be attracted to a guy who has a
I
vagina,
think it
or
means,
you can be attracted to a
I
girl
think
with a
it
penis.
I think it means that you're attracted to someone's personality.
That's kind of beautiful.
That's kind of stupid.
Oh no!
Gay.
Well, that's what it was. Sapiosexual is attracted to a person's
Whatever.
intelligence.
That's
What?
beautiful.
That's really
Okay, but
stupid.
you shouldn't identify our sexual nature based on intelligence.
has nothing to
Because when I
fucking
looked it
do
up,
with
it
it.
said that like it's based on
Same with
intelligence,
trans.
not gender. So like you could be whatever you want as long as you're a smart person. You're attracted to them. It's like okay,
So yeah, and it's like the whole the like
it's the
trans,
LGBTQ
trans
plus
has nothing
squared triangle cookie. I don't know.
cookie. It's like the trans part though that has that the rest are sexual orientations. Can we all agree?
No, not in 2019. I don't agree.
Shut up. I'm not really asking you. The whole lesbian, bi, queer, like those are all like
Yes,
based
yes.
on what you're attracted to. Cool. But the whole trans thing is you're okay. Nick, you have a penis, right? I hope. But you're gonna tell me that you identify as a female, and we're just gonna completely throw biology out the window just because you want it that way, and you make the rest of the world address you as a female because you have a mental illness.
I mean, I thought emotions like trumped everything else.
Oh,
Am I wrong?
I saw a video the other day. It was like some guy interviewing this girl, and it's like, so you think the entire world should run on emotions? And she was like, yes, because emotions are real. And then I was like, oh God, this is so painful.
She's so lost and confused.
I was like,
she needs some help.
Oh my
mean-
God. I was like, what?
Who needs logic in 2019? I mean, really. I mean, you know.
Well, let's see. There's businesses.
No.
That's a huge
No.
thing.
It should be emotional. Whatever. Who cares? You know.
If the whole this is what I try to stress.
I don't want to say we're
All right,
quickly turning into Rome,
I end
but
up
like
stressing to everyone that tries to ask me questions when I get on rants and stuff, and like when I'm with families or friends or whatever, is ultimately like that's a very good point that we'll all come back to is if the world ran on people's feelings and not logic, this would be a really, really awful, terrible place.
Yes.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
right? Thank you.
I think that there needs to be a combination of logic. I mean, emotions are so powerful. I mean, they really are, and it affects like
Yeah,
society.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think that there needs to be a balance between things. Like you can't just run the world off of simple logic.
Would you
Again, it should be
agree with
either.
me if I told you that women were more emotional than men?
No,
Okay.
I don't agree.
Please argue.
We all have hormones.
No,
number
I
one.
agree. I agree that we both are emotional. We are both emotional.
I think we can be emotional in different ways and about different things.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it, I mean, regardless, I think men and women are equally emotional because of the fact that we all have hormones and we all have the organs in our brain that we have, and that controls our emotions. I think that we can be triggered by different things. So why are you looking?
And you're triggering Nick right now. I'm sorry. I want you to explain yourself because I don't agree.
Yeah.
But again, this
You
is,
don't think dudes are emotional?
No, I think men and women are both emotional.
I mean, I'd be the
just
one to
think-
say
I
that I'm
think-
the
I
most
think-
emotional dude out of the group.
Nick's more emotional than I am.
I don't know about
would
that.
Maybe I don't know.
argue.
I don't
But
know about
I again, we're speaking in generalities here. I think as a whole, I think women are more emotional or emotional. I wouldn't say emotional because I feel like that has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
I want to say women think. I don't know about it's,
What you're trying to maybe I can try and
Go
translate.
ahead.
Maybe
Go
I can try and
ahead.
translate.
I'm not.
I
a
would
good
argue that
talker.
generally speaking, not exceptionally or anecdotally, that most women, when it comes to processing information or situation, think about a situation emotionally first before processing it logically.
I would agree.
Because of the way that they're biologically designed to be more nurturing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Than it is
Nature
for
versus
males.
nurture.
Yeah.
I don't think the word that you should use is emotional, but I think they process things with empathy first. It's not necessarily emotional, because I think emotional
Yeah, that
makes
might be
people
a
think
better
like,
word
oh, they're
for it.
gonna cry and whine about it. But women in general,
You said it, not me.
women in general have more sympathy and have more empathy.
Yeah,
than men
no,
do.
that's a decent way to
And that's
to
biology.
think. Yeah, like
I mean, it
like
really is.
you said, you know, the women are the mothers. They care for things in that way more so than men. It's just like it's biology, but people want to say men and women are the same when
No,
they're
they're
obviously
different.
not.
And I think that men and women are obviously both emotional. I really do think that they're equally emotional, but I think that the way they process things and the way that they speak about them, I think are very, very, very different.
I can be on board with that because, you know, I mean, men do some really stupid stuff in order to just go home with women, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, men will do anything
The
to
dumbest
acquire,
shit,
to
let me
acquire
tell
the
ya.
vagina.
Let me
Wait,
tell
no,
you.
the front hole.
Oh yeah, front hole. Sorry, I forgot it's 2019.
Nicholas.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if
How
you want to
dare
get down
you.
to the nitty gritty of like the verbiage that's being used, and sure, I could agree with.
Well, it's
you know,
important because they have different connotations.
to an extent. I mean, when
No,
it
it's you're probably way better at explaining things because, as you could probably tell, I'm not good at explaining things.
she's good at writing and understanding words.
Oh, that's
so I will agree that that if we want to use the verbiage empathy, then I would say yes, women have more empathy because of their nurturing biology.
Yes.
And that's how they process a situation.
Better
because
way
they
to
have
put
to
it.
be.
Yeah. And women are more outspoken too about their emotions for the most part, I think.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. I mean, a perfect example of, you know, like, again, this may be a unique example, but like, you know, like people that have been in the military, especially like old folks that have been in wars and they don't want to talk about it. They just completely don't want to be emotional. They don't want to get emotional about it. They don't want to talk to anyone about it. You know, they don't want to, you know, let that emotion out in any sort of way.
I think so.
Because they just want to deal with it.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
some of that's trauma.
Right? I mean,
as somebody who's like been through
yeah,
and, like,
again,
not
that may be
but-
like a bad example, but I think it's somewhat relatable.
Yeah. I think men too in general just
men suffer in silence.
they
that kind
do
of thing.
that. They do. That's fair. Women are like they want to tell not everybody.
Nick not
but
so much, but you know.
he loves to talk about his emotions.
It's true.
He does. But I think women do, like, whenever they're feeling something, they want to talk about it for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
And men are holding in a little bit more because they turn more stoic,
and
more prideful.
I would bet you that there are probably more women therapists than men
Yes, that's
yes.
100% true.
So I would
because of that fact.
It's because they're empathetic.
Exactly.
So-
they want tell me about your
So
feelings, Nick.
Let me say from your point, right, that you brought up when it comes to, like, let's say post-traumatic stress
Yeah.
disorder for people who were in the war, I would say the only reason why it's more, like, why they tend to hold those emotions in
Yeah.
is because a lot of times, like, for males, if they have to speak about what happened, it becomes a reality. And if you're experiencing the traumas of war, a lot of times, like, you want to forget
Yeah,
those
no,
things
I-
ever happened because
I
it's
could-
so horrific.
Yeah, it's like it almost happened in another life, and you don't want to
that's-
bring it to
you know,
life.
that's an extreme example, but, you know, maybe for me, and maybe
No,
I'm
I
speaking
mean,
too
you know
generally,
probably
but
more people that have. I for sure know you know more people that have been through that.
Yeah.
Than I do.
But, you know, if we'll take it to a less extreme example. Like, let's say, like, I just came home from work and I had a really crappy day at work. If I talk about
straight
what
to
happened
the
at
bottle.
work, then I'm pretty much admitting to myself that happened.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just want to forget about what happened.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it. I just want to move on.
Yeah, that's why you go to your liquor cabinet and you just forget everything.
Whatever vice,
solution to
whatever
that.
vice you feel.
Solution to all of your yeah,
Whatever
everyone's
vice.
got their own thing.
Yeah, everybody's got their own vice.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I guess reeling it back into toxic masculinity is you have to find. And again, I always harp on the fact that it's like black and white when it shouldn't be. It should be gray.
It should be great.
Because there's always examples of, like, careers where men have to be
Oh my
more
God.
masculine,
Yes.
and you expect them to be because that's their job.
That was my next question to you, Nicole. Actually, the whole wage gap thing.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what does that have to. I don't know what that
No,
has to
no,
do
sorry.
with.
You just said you were talking about more jobs that
Yeah, but
require. No, I know.
trying to keep it on the toxic masculinity train.
I also want to get to that after, but
Sure.
But yes.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just certain roles in society you want them to be more masculine. I don't want my police officer to be like, well, let me think about this emotionally before I
exactly before
I
I jump on this person that just shot
and
someone.
it's like, no,
to
like I
arrest
need you to
them.
do
Like,
your thing first.
Yeah.
And obviously there's protocol, right? Like you're not supposed to just end somebody's life unless they are
Obviously,
threatening yours.
yes.
But
That's why we have laws.
that's why you think about it from a like, I should get this person down before they cause other people harm.
Exactly.
And then think about what happens afterwards.
Yeah, like Ryan said at the on our last episode is like if they get there before the cops do in certain situations where they're not supposed to tend to someone's needs, they may have just shot someone and you don't know that. That's why the police have to get there first because they may know more about the situation. They don't want the EMT guys endangering their life because if they get hurt, their lives take priority and then it's just more of a mess,
I mean, that's why the military usually doesn't send the medic out first. Because it's like,
Exactly.
you take him out and it's like everybody else is screwed.
Yeah, everyone else is
It's
screwed.
the same
exactly.
thing with EMTs. It's like you don't want to send them out into the firefight
Exactly.
when those people could be taking care of the police officers who may be injured in the firefight.
Exactly.
So I don't know. Again, I don't say that every man should think logically before including at least some empathy or emotion into it.
Yeah.
But there are roles in society where I think like it's necessary for males to have that extra masculinity in them to make sure that they get the job done for people in society.
For the example that you gave about policemen, I don't know that it's necessarily like women need to be more masculine in those roles, but I think that because logic isn't like, oh, that's a masculine trait. It's every human has the ability to be logical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you do struggle with like a mental illness and but I think that women police officers probably their learning curve is probably different, and the way that they go about their job, like they're going to have to process things differently than maybe they normally would, and they're going to have to learn how to do the job differently than a man would have to do the job.
But wouldn't you say, wouldn't you say a lot of female police officers probably have a lot more masculine qualities to them in the way they do their job than
What do you
normal? Like Nick, I think a good word to describe what your example you just gave, Nick, was aggressiveness. Like you've got to be aggressive in certain situations where I think a lot of women as a whole they're not going to jump to that first
Sure,
hand.
yeah, that's fair.
They're not going to go.
Men are more aggressive
Exactly.
normally than
I mean,
women.
it boils down to the fight or flight.
Yeah, you've got to in that example with a cop thing, it's like you've got to be a little bit more masculine, but when I say that, I mean, there are certain qualities that you have that are stronger with men that you have to to implicate in that scenario.
That's an interesting point. I've never thought about it like that, of like, oh, they need to have more masculine qualities, because
it's not necessarily.
Yeah, but I've always just thought about it like they're going to have to learn how to be like more aggressive, or they're going to learn how to be more logical, and they're going to have to learn to think differently. But it's a good point, because I've never really thought of that as they'll have to take on some more masculine qualities. Yeah. But I mean, that's a fair point.
It's just again, it's.
I mean, the idea
the whole masculinity word has so. I feel like this is a giant umbrella that's so like skewed now, because it's like, oh,
well, it became a trigger word. That's
exactly.
That's why it's annoying.
Unfortunately, yes.
And it's hard too, because it's like, what do you define? Like, what do you define masculinity as, and what do you define femininity as?
In that scenario, it was definitely like you've got to be aggressive.
Well, what people don't realize is that there's
scenarios.
definitions of words based on biological, and then there's words that are defined by society.
Yeah, that's true.
Society defines masculinity different than biology does.
Yeah, exactly.
Like to your point earlier,
unfortunately,
like
yes.
everybody's got logic.
Yeah.
That's what makes us human beings.
Yeah.
But I would probably argue that men have, on a general basis, a little bit more logic to a situation, because they have to understand the situation around them to prepare for what's around them. Like if we think about it from like a
hardwired in the back of their brain.
And I'm not saying that women don't have logic. I'm not saying that by any means. But what I am
don't
saying
trigger
is
her,
like,
please.
I'm about to get triggered.
Yeah. But what I am saying is
face,
like, when I define logic, I define thinking a situation out before you act. And men have to have that logic basis to be able to understand the situation around them, control it, and be able to take down the situation as quickly as they can in order to either protect themselves or their family around them.
Yeah.
And women, and again, I'm not saying in today's 2019 standards, but from a biological standpoint, women are supposed to be more nurturing and more empathetic toward their
Yeah.
children because they're taking care of them and helping them grow. Whereas the
Yeah.
men have to be more logical to a situation outside of the house to protect
Yeah.
them and,
Yes.
provide.
That's a good point. And I think,
In generalities here, remember.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about exceptions or anecdotes because everybody's got
Yeah.
it, but
I
we're
think part
talking
of
as
the,
a whole.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is that the word like emotional and empathetic and feelings have such a negative light to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then logic has like, it's so elated and it's so, whatever. So whenever somebody,
very high-minded.
yeah. So whenever somebody says like, oh, you're being emotional, it's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm saying.
It's
It's got
not.
and that's why I said I didn't want
Yeah.
to use that word because I don't want to be like, oh, this sounds negative because it's
Yeah,
not. There's
it's not.
nothing about being emotional.
I mean,
like,
again, that's
it's
why I
not
say that the
wrong,
world
yeah.
should be gray, you know,
Yeah.
because if the world's black and white, I honestly don't want my police officers to only be logical.
You want
'Cause
them to have empathy.
I want them to have empathy because
Yeah.
if a cop pulls over some kid for
Yeah.
having a freaking molecule of weed on them, I
Yeah.
want my officer to be like, all right, I'll be a little more lenient on this and
Yeah.
not take you straight to jail because if it's black
Yeah.
and white, you break the law, you're done.
Yeah.
If I'm speeding or whatever, I don't want my officer to be super logical and be
like,
all
yeah,
right,
I
you're
can
going to
actually.
jail.
Do you know
Yeah.
I can throw you into jail for up to a year? Like, cool, but
It's like,
let's
yeah, because if you
not.
think about it from logical is
Try
more
to be
black and
logical
white,
here.
and you need to find a balance in both. And
Yeah.
and it sucks that both masculinity and emotions have gotten a negative connotation to them now because
so do a
social
lot of
media,
other terms
you know.
nowadays, unfortunately.
it's because social media gives everybody a voice when some of those people probably shouldn't have a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people
Yes.
don't have the freedom of speech, but when they take everybody else's freedom of speech away, that's when it
Well,
becomes a
that's the
problem.
thing, though, is like, and this quick tangent, real quick. that
Quick.
yeah,
I was
I'll
literally
make it
about
as
to
quick as I can. But no, like when you talk about freedom of speech, everyone has a voice. I agree, everyone should have a voice, and everyone should have or should be able to voice their opinion. But when you have a lot of left-leaning, radical left-leaning people that think you shouldn't have your freedom of speech because it's hate speech or it's offensive or it's like you're not being a human being or whatever. Example, I was on I was scrolling through my Instagram and I saw someone posting some shit about Trump or something, and it was about what was it? It was about he was something he said during his State of the Union address about how he wanted to get rid of AIDS or something like that within like the next 10 years or something. And someone, this person is very left leaning and gay. He was bitching about that statement that Trump had made, and I was like, all I did was like me, I'm not like, other than to you and my best friends, I'm not an asshole. So I just commented on it and I was like, so you're going to bitch about the fact that he wants to get rid of this disease that takes a lot of lives every year just because Trump said it. I was like, you're bitching about it because Trump said it. Like if anyone else would have said it, you would have been okay.
And
with
I would say
especially
that,
being a gay guy.
and I would say somebody saying that, male or female,
Yeah.
is thinking emotionally.
that's what I'm saying.
There's
And again, I hate to use
The
that keyword
Trump
emotional,
derangement
but
syndrome.
if you think about it, like when you're a child and you're not thinking a situation out before it happens, you just say what comes to your mind.
Yeah.
That's an emotional reaction because emotion happens first before
Yeah,
logic.
Yeah.
You have no filter.
And whether you're male or female or not, if you think emotionally before using logic,
Yeah.
you're going to get upset at what somebody says instead of thinking about it.
Yeah.
If the person were to think about it and say, well, AIDS is killing people, he's not saying he
Yeah.
wants to get rid of gays, he just wants to get rid of the disease.
Yeah, he
But
wants
the
to
guy's
get rid
thinking
of
emotionally, and he's like, oh, AIDS, gay people, oh my God.
But regardless of the reason of it, he was bitching about it, and my comment was, I was like, so you don't want him to do this? Like, it'd be kind of cool if we could, if we could get rid of a whole disease as a whole, like, that'd be cool. So I'm like, so you want to complain about it? And then I think, and then actually, I was at work, so I pulled out my phone because I had gotten a notification or something. I was like, oh, cool. So he replied, I want to see what he said. And then I went to his account and it said, user has not been found or whatever. So he blocked me.
blocked.
So he replied to me and then blocked me immediately. So I couldn't have a response. And that's exactly the perfect fucking example of why I'm like, you know what? You shouldn't have a voice because your shit is offensive.
Yeah.
I will say part of that story
fucked.
that you might be missing, and I don't know if this is what the story he was sharing or not, but I think part of the reason people are so upset about that is that Trump got rid of like this entire like, I don't know, like an advisory board of all these people that were, their whole thing was to eradicate AIDS, and he got rid of all of them. And so I think that's why people were mad, is because he was like, I want to get rid of AIDS, and he fired all these people.
Was that before this happened though? Because that was I feel like that was what you're talking about. Might be way before this State of the Union address.
I thought it was like right before.
Okay.
Like it happened recently. I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I don't know either, to be honest. But I will say though, the way he goes about getting rid of Obamacare and having just more strictly competitive business like competition with your health insurance, which is the conservative way of thinking. In my eyes, like if you want to, I think that's way better for any sort of medical disease or whatever. I think you should have good better health insurance or whatever. So I think that kind of covers a lot of it. Like, yeah, like we may have AIDS still, but like you should get better treatment and better health care or whatever. And you're going to get that with more privatized health insurance and not having a government regulated. A lot of government regulation ruins a lot of shit. You know that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
I mean, do you have thoughts on government regulation?
I do on like healthcare specifically.
So explain.
Okay, I agree with you, Connor, and to a certain extent, because I do think like our healthcare system is fucked.
Yeah,
it's terrible, and I can say that firsthand.
Very
because,
regulated.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of like health problems, and I have had like more over the years, and so I spend a lot of my time at the doctors, and I get screwed over every single time. Like and I have good health insurance, quote unquote, and it's still terrible. And I do think that more privatized healthcare would probably work better.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my natural instinct always, and I don't know why, but is to think of the people who are like below the poverty line.
Yeah.
Because those folks are going to get screwed
Yeah.
and they're not going to get help. And I don't think like,
But and
like
that's
Medicaid is like a good answer either, you know?
that's the thing. I that's why I think strictly like business competition will drive prices down. Like if you were to just completely take away government regulation and just let capitalism run its course, you would have businesses fighting for, like that's how business works. You offer a product or a service to compete with another company or whatever, try and offer the best product or service for the lowest price. That's why we're able to have the amazing shit that we have nowadays. It's I think business competition will, that helps so much stuff, and I think that would solve a lot of things.
It's hard to bring it up without,
even for those people that are below the poverty line.
Well, I'm thinking like homeless people, like how do they get care? They don't. If we only have privatized healthcare, they don't get care.
So it's hard to talk about this because there's always exceptions to the rule.
There are, yeah.
And I guess what makes it difficult is the fact that it's like, where do you draw the line on the people who are using it as a crutch?
Yes,
versus
I agree.
the people who actually like need it.
Yeah.
And again,
it's hard. It's really hard.
That's why it's like, honestly, I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it, but I don't really give out a lot to homeless people.
I don't either. I'll tell you that right now.
And I'm not saying that there
I
aren't
don't either, but
and I'm not saying there aren't people that don't deserve it. But again, it's hard for me to justify who's using it as a crutch or who isn't.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you have a lot of at least in my anecdotal experience, a lot of homeless people are asking me for stuff. The times I have given them money, they went and blew it on whatever useless crap that they didn't need just to get that quick fix.
Yeah. I've watched a homeless person pull out a cell phone and start talking on it.
Oh yeah, same.
I'm like, this is exactly what, like, whether you're running it for all these other people or not, this is why I don't give money out.
I'd rather give it to a homeless shelter where like they're actually, it's going to provide like a meal for somebody.
Maybe.
I guess the problem is that generally a lot of people don't look into it deep enough. They look at it as such a very shallow idea. Like for an example, like a lot of people don't realize like a lot of the people who are giving to food banks and stuff are either giving away expired food or canned food that has no nutritional value.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, but I gave away, like I was a good person. It's like, well, Yeah, but if
do you know where your money's going?
Yeah, do you know where your money's going? Do you
Yes,
know if the
I'm always
organization?
skeptical of that.
So there's websites out there that actually.
Nonprofits that are
So if you're a nonprofit organization by law, you have to give out every financial like purchase or decision ever made. Like you have to by law, and that's good for a good reason because a lot, especially nowadays, a lot of nonprofit organizations that are finding loopholes to
Oh yeah.
profit off of that. And I'm not saying they shouldn't earn a little bit of profit because at the end of the day they are working.
But
there's
that's what I'm saying.
But there's
I
a
think
gray area too
nonprofit is
because
dumb.
yeah.
I honestly do. I mean, in certain cases, I think
I wouldn't say it's dumb, because there's a lot of good in nonprofit.
But you just said. But I also don't think profit is a bad thing. I think
no, but
you
the
just
problem is
said-
that people aren't doing the research. Like they're just like, I'm just going to give to whatever
Yeah.
the biggest foundation is,
I
and
would-
then
I
but
would
they don't read
completely
up
agree
and
with
figure
that.
out like a lot. Like you have
But you just said getting a little bit of profit for them for their efforts isn't a bad thing.
so by law you have to be within a certain percentage to be considered profit.
Yeah, well, there's
And a lot of nonprofit organizations go beyond that by loopholes in the system to
Yeah.
earn them more profit instead of putting it back into
The organization.
the organization or the people who actually
Yeah.
need it and benefit
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
And that's the annoying part. And that's why, again, I say it's so shallow because a lot of people are like, I'm going to give away, whatever money to whatever nonprofit without doing the research on that nonprofit and see if it's
Yeah.
actually a good organization that's actually giving away and doing good.
Yeah.
And it just people don't look into it deep enough.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing I would say about giving away, like when it comes to healthcare. People don't read into it enough to understand the benefits of privatized healthcare.
Yeah.
Or if there's options out there to provide to people who cannot afford it.
Yeah.
Again, there's no black and white area. There's gray area to it because some
But
people
you
lean
got to
on it.
speak in generalities. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you kinda have to, 'cause
yeah,
again-
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's all we try and stick to on this
That's
podcast.
the annoying
It's
part
like,
about
there's always going to be certain special
That's
special
Always.
situations and scenarios, but as a whole, in general, like the majority of what we talk about is that, like, we speak in general, like for the most part, this is what we think about this thing,
Yeah.
You have to, or else you'd be here all night.
Exactly.
Well, of course, and that's the problem with.
Because there may be a
That's
homeless
the-
person that doesn't go out and buy beer when I give him
That's
a
true.
dollar.
I mean,
That's
that's
true.
that's the pros and cons of
But
today's
you
age
never
of
know.
the internet, right? Like, everybody's got a voice, so everybody feels like their anecdotal evidence is like
It's fact.
the end all be all. It's
Yeah,
fact.
yeah.
Like,
it's like, or
Yeah.
it's the way things should be.
and
which
it's like,
is
no,
Yeah.
it's just because you're the
stupid.
only person who's experienced that once, or one of the few people who have, doesn't mean
Yeah.
that's the case for everybody.
That's
Yeah.
my
And
point.
that's and you can't. It's. I mean, I would. Maybe I'm getting a little bit of tangent, but it's the same idea behind people who don't know marketing, because you get a lot,
marketing.
right? And me being a
Y'all
marketing
two nerd
person.
out about that real quick. Huh?
Well, the point that I'm getting at too, Connor, is the fact that a lot of people, they're like, well, so like this one guy who reached out to me. I'm not going to name his name, but he owns a business. We went there the other night.
Yes.
He's like, I asked him, I was like, who generally comes here and orders your product? And he's like, well, I don't really know. And it's like, okay, well, there's your problem. You have to target a particular audience. And he's like, well, why can't I just target everybody?
Oh my gosh, did he really say that?
Yeah, and a lot of
I
people
would have left.
But I know that's the
I
funny
can no
part.
longer
It's
take
like,
you
I'm using that
seriously.
marketing as an analogy for the way people think about anything.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, I want to do it for everybody, and it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
You have,
Yeah.
like, that's what makes capitalism. That's what makes a country run. Like, that's
Yeah.
how people should think. Is like, yeah, there's always
Because not
people you should think
everyone's
about.
going to buy every product or service that
It's the same thing with Gillette.
99% of companies offer.
Like, if you look at
Not
if
everyone
you look
needs
at the
everything.
audience of people who buy from Gillette,
Yeah.
it's predominantly males. And I'm not saying that Gillette doesn't offer female, like razor blades.
no,
Yeah.
but it's. I
equipment.
mean, like,
But predominantly, it's
yeah.
usually a male
It is,
thing.
yeah.
And when they go against like their main target audience, they're gonna suffer as a company because they're trying to appeal to everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's like
That's the hard part behind what they said and why it's so annoying because it's like
Yeah.
you're disgracing your main audience,
yes.
hoping that you're
I
like.
will also. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like let's say, and I'm throwing these numbers out there. I don't know for a fact, but let's say like it's 60% male, 40% female. Like that's a pretty marginal difference. It's not
Yeah.
that big.
No.
But if you're marginalizing your 60%, hoping that your 40% is
get
going to
fucked.
make you grow,
Yeah.
it's not. And that's how a lot
Yeah.
of, that's the
Yeah.
problem with a lot of these things is people are like, well, I want to go after everybody and get
Yeah.
everything. It's like, you can't.
When
Yeah.
I watched that commercial, it's interesting because like as somebody who's in marketing, like it's my full-time job and I studied it in college.
Same.
You're actually using your major. That's
Yes,
great.
we both are.
That's wonderful.
We're so successful.
Right?
So successful.
But it's interesting because I watched it and I thought about it like as myself personally and like how I personally felt about it.
Right.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like it is at the end of the day, like the message that they're trying to get across. I was supportive of it, but then I watched it again and I did think about it from a marketing perspective, and I was like, as a company, you're trying to come out and have a stance on something, and I admire that a lot. I admire companies who do that, but I do think that they made a poor decision because it's men that they're targeting.
Yeah.
So that was the question I was going to bring up earlier, and I'm glad you brought that back up. The question is where do you draw the line on what companies should or should not say or speak about?
I don't think they should do it at all.
Me personally,
Really?
I
Honestly.
don't think companies should ever have any
I don't-
political say or like,
I agree.
They shouldn't have an opinion.
No. Well,
Like, I'm not saying that the people who
workers
work
there
for it
can
can.
have opinions.
Yeah.
That's fine.
but I don't think that one
Like the
particular
company.
person
Yeah.
should speak on the entire company.
when you do a giant commercial like that, and like I said earlier, it felt incredibly forced.
like there are
It
probably
did.
a lot of people who work for Gillette who were like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, and they're like,
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that they don't have a good message, but I don't think the company should speak on people's behalf.
Yes.
It's a company, it's a business. I don't
Yeah.
think a business
But-
that's based on money
inject a
should,
politically charged message
because
that
a lot,
big.
and, we're relatively intelligent people in the room. Some
Wow.
more,
I'm
some,
very
some
smart.
more than
Wow.
others. Nicole,
He'll admit he thinks I'm smarter. than
she's incredibly intelligent, way smarter than me. But what I'm getting at is that for the intelligence level we're at,
Yeah.
we're still a part of a small percentage of people in the world. Like, not a lot of people are even close to the intelligence we have. And the reason why I bring up why companies
you, Nick.
shouldn't
I
have a
appreciate that.
political opinion is because there's a lot of people out there who follow things blindly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Don't
just
do
because
their
of,
research.
like, if you like that company and that company says that, then people are going to be like, yeah, I want to agree with that company because I agree with it. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's not smart. You
Again,
should,
just-
you should take what they say and think about it, but you shouldn't
Just
follow it blindly just
stick
because
to
you
making your product and or service.
yeah.
Just don't even like inject your political beliefs and or opinions into a fucking commercial that was like, over a minute long. Like, I was like, this really, again, it's so forced and it's almost cringeworthy just because of how, like, really they just did that.
And again, it's from at least from a business perspective. Like, if
I
you
would not want to do
if
that.
you want to have that message, you're free to do that, right? That's what's the beauty of our country
I was like,
is you're
that's
allowed to do
America.
that. The problem is that as a business perspective, it's like, do you think by having this message that it's going to benefit you financially
Yeah.
after, like, basically axing half your audience
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
appeal to what everybody else is saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing. I'm going to get on a tiny tangent, but like,
No, go for it.
certain comedians, right, who, like, the first joke that comes out on stage is about Trump. And the reason why I get upset about that is because I feel like they're using that as a crutch to, like, be like every other comedian instead of, like, the analogy I use with that is, like, I don't know if you remember, but my parents would always say, like, a good comedian would never curse. Like, a good comedian
Because they don't need it, right?
because they don't need
yeah.
it. It's
Same
the same
with
thing
political
with
jokes, yeah.
exactly
You don't
the
need
same
it.
thing with political. Like, you don't need to have a political joke
Yeah.
without being funny. Like, there's a lot of good comedians who don't bring any politics into it, and they're
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And that's why it's like, I'm not saying comedians shouldn't talk about today's day and age.
yeah, because
but when
it
you
makes for good content
Yeah,
sometimes.
and sometimes it is funny. Sometimes you do need to laugh at, like, political views and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But you also don't need it to be a good comedian. I feel like certain comedians rely on it to make them a better comedian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
like you
I don't know.
don't need to have try and virtual signal to your everyone. Well, I mean, again, their audience is male and female, so I don't know. But I'm just looking at the Gillette stocks in the last like
Have they
month.
just gone
plummeted.
down?
They have gone way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when did that commercial come out? By the way,
Super
do you
Bowl.
know? Was it the
Or
Super-
right before the
It was,
Super Bowl.
I was right
right-
before.
It was like a
before the
week
Super
before the
Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that was what February,
February. No, it was like January.
was-
It was
and
like
it was
January
the end of-
31st or something like that.
beginning of
And-
February.
It was the end of January when the commercial
the
came
February-
out. Super Bowl was like what, the 4th?
Yeah, it was like the
I
third
don't
or
know.
fourth.
What's interesting is that it took a nice little plummet around that time, and then it kind of stabilized, and then as of like
mid-month, it's just gone way down.
That's really interesting. Because people are still talking about it. The news is still covering it.
And I feel like that's a you guys are the advertising experts in
Yes.
the room. So, and I know, and this may be me trying to play devil's advocate on that argument. You guys have, I'm sure, heard the term of like, okay, any publicity or bad publicity
It's good publicity.
is good publicity, or any publicity is good
To an extent.
So it's
Yeah.
like it became a big giant shitstorm on social media, TV, everywhere. But
Yeah.
everyone saw Gillette's name.
Yeah.
Is that like, again?
Okay.
Obviously, that's
a
not
lot
a
of
good
thoughts.
thing. I mean, it's not a good
you go first,
thing.
so.
No, go ahead, because I'm like looking. I mean, I'm looking at their stocks, and it's like, well, they've clearly done. That didn't help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be a publicist, actually. And so that phrase got tossed around our office a lot of
Yeah.
like, is all publicity good publicity? No, it's not.
I wouldn't think so either.
It's really not. But I do think that I think that companies can take calculated risks, and this was one of them.
Yeah,
They knew
definitely.
when they did this that they were taking
No,
a
a company as
risk.
big
Like,
as this
Oh, yeah.
definitely
they're not
knew why they
stupid.
did what they did.
Yeah, they knew. And I think that...
Just like Nike,
Yeah, I mean...
right?
To your
I mean,
point, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
And then for some companies, though, it works in their favor. It
Yeah.
really does, and they can piss off a lot of
Yeah.
people, and it works in their favor. But
And I
for
think
a
it
lot of companies,
depends.
it can
yeah,
really screw
it could
them.
sink them.
Yeah.
And it'll take... Honestly, it's going to take some time for us to figure out
Yeah.
kind of how this really does impact Gillette, like
And I
long
think
term.
I think it
Yeah.
also very much depends on your, like you were talking about earlier. It depends on your market, like who you're marketing
Yes.
to, what's
Yeah.
your the type of people and the type of product you're
Yeah,
selling
your
or
demographic
providing.
you're targeting.
It depends. Like Nike, I think I'm pretty sure their stocks went down too. Did they not?
I couldn't speak to that. I'm not sure.
I don't want to speak on that. I don't know
Yeah.
well enough. But I
I
do
don't
know.
think
like,
it hurt. I honestly, in the long term, though, I don't think that really hurt Nike. at
No,
all.
I don't think so. At
Well, they're also
I would argue
such
that
a
it probably
big
helped
company.
them.
It probably
I mean-
did help them. They're
Yeah.
huge.
because most of their audience is people who think that way.
Holy
It is,
Christ!
yeah.
Yeah, they've gone way up.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And again, like people try to get on that bandwagon. Like Gillette was probably like, let's get on that Nike bandwagon and say
Yeah.
something
Wow.
like that to get us
Yeah.
going somewhere.
Well, again,
and that's the risk they're taking. Is like, is it going to work in their favor or not? And
Yeah.
yeah, and like the
Depending on
whole,
who. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people who make calculated decisions before they do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes those decisions are overridden by people who are higher ups.
Yeah.
Who don't really know about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's
like I always say that like business owners shouldn't get in the minutia of sales.
They shouldn't.
That's why they hire people to do sales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To
You
trust
know,
the
right?
people that
'Cause
you
as a-
hired to make
Yeah.
those decisions.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
like as a business owner, it's like obviously you want to save money, but you hire somebody to help you save money over long term than
Yeah.
it is short term. Because a
Yeah.
business owner is going to want to think
yeah.
long term. You would hope, but when
Yeah.
they get in that minutia, they don't think long term. It's
Yeah.
natural for people to think short term.
Yeah. So real quick, I know we're let's see, we're about a minute and 30. Sorry, I always say a minute. I did that. I made the same fucking mistake last time, did I not? I'm pretty sure I
Probably.
did. But anyways,
I
we're
mean, this could be as long as whatever.
at least an hour and a half. Yeah, I know. But
We've got a
I
good
did-
guest, so
we
it
do.
could be-
Yes, we do have
I
a
am
good guest,
guest.
and it is interesting because that's what I was saying. Like I have a female, our first female guest, and not only that, I will say, Nicole, I'm pretty sure. When we were, I don't know about high school. I didn't know you a ton in high school.
Yeah, I knew who you- I knew you.
I knew you. I just didn't know you very
Yeah.
well. But as far as like after high school and everything, I feel like you were very left leaning on certain things. And again, I don't.
Yeah.
Again, but you're a friend. A lot of our friends know you. Like we know you're a chill person
Yeah.
and you're not a crazy, so that's good. But I did want to ask you about the whole wage gap argument. I mean, do you
Considering how much you make, like, do you believe in that?
Yeah, I do. And I've don't squint at me.
I'm sorry, I'm giving you the
You're giving me the
squint eyes.
I do make a lot of money. I mean, a lot is relative. I do well for myself.
Yeah,
I have worked really, really, really hard to get there.
Yeah,
I have busted my butt.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
hard work pays off for the most part.
And you can attest to that. Like, you know how hard I've worked, but
Harder than a lot of people I know.
yeah. But I will say
She's up there
like-
with like you if not more than
what?
you on that. Like how hard you work in your job. That's what I'm
Oh.
saying. Like
I was gonna say, what?
if you're comparing how hard like she works, like because I know you're like you live to work. Like you do what you do and you work your ass
do.
off to it because you love it.
Yeah.
Like she does that if not twice as much as you do.
That's
Like
good.
that's how
I
how
applaud,
hard she
I
is.
applaud you.
I'm
You
trying to say
I would
like
probably be a fucking disaster at your job. I could not do it.
yeah.
I love my job, but
That's good. I wish more people did like their jobs.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's really annoying when you have to encounter people that don't like their job
Yeah.
and they take it out on you.
Yes, I agree.
That's
but
not fun.
for the gender wage gap thing, and I don't have any like statistics memorized, so I can't like whip out any statistics to
No,
like
I really
support
don't
my
either.
argument. But just from like
Not
an
right now.
anecdotal experience, when I was in high school, I had a job, and I won't say where, but I just had a job, and I got paid minimum wage, and I worked there for probably like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And there was this
We've all
guy.
been there.
Yeah, there was this guy who was hired probably like 6 months after me. A really chill guy, like super sweet and everything. But he, within like, and we did the exact same job. Like he
Yeah.
didn't do anything differently. Within 3 months of being there, he got a raise of like $1.50 like per hour,
Yeah.
and I got nothing after working there for 2 years. And that's such a small example. Like I was, it was like a high school
Yeah.
like minimum wage thing. But I do think that it's applicable in some fields. I am in marketing, which often, Nick, you can disagree with this, but I think a lot of the times it's more female dominant than
I
it is
agree with
male.
that.
I would even say I would agree with that. I don't really
Yeah.
know that much about that
Yeah.
field.
So I think for me, I'm pretty lucky in that, I am in a field that is predominantly women, so there's not like a ton of comparison there. But I think
Yeah.
other fields suffer from it more so than different ones.
But
So I guess
but
the
that's-
devil's advocate that I'd play, and I agree
Yeah.
with you, like at least from my anecdotal experience in an industry which is predominantly female,
Yeah.
I know like from experience how much less I got paid compared to some of the women in the field. So that's why I don't. It's like I know, and again, these hot button topics. There's always a gray. There's always
It's always-
it
there's
should be
always a
gray,
gray
but it's not.
But what
at
there's
least from
always-
my
there's
experience,
always-
like I was always paid less than like all the females that I worked with.
Yeah.
And I like whether I worked just as hard, if not harder, or not. I didn't get the same pay that they did.
But how was your, like, were they out of school longer than you were? Had they been working in the field longer?
Some of them had gotten out and were working there just as long as I had.
Okay. Because that's like something to consider too. Like,
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to make more
Your
money than
experience that
yeah.
they may or may
Yeah.
not have.
Well,
Yeah.
of course, and that's why it's supposed to be gray, not black and white.
Yeah.
But, like every boss that I've ever had, ever besides my current job, has always been a female boss. And I'm not saying
Really?
that. And I'm not saying that she's appealing to other females like in any malice.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact those people who started either after me or at the same time, were like some
Yeah.
of those females are getting paid way more than me.
Yeah. You probably face different challenges like in the field than I do. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What's funny though,
And I mean, like, if we're gonna get into the hot button topic of like wage gap, it's usually what people go to is like engineering.
That's what I was thinking.
Because that's what people usually
you
go
talking
to.
about like a real good go-to example that everyone tries to bring up.
Yeah, because when people think of like
Yeah.
the wage gap, like they immediately go to places where it's predominantly male, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm a female in an engineering
Just an
program, and I
extreme
make way
example
less."
that really doesn't have any.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I think Connor and I are on the same page with the wage gap is because if you look at like the entire industry of
Yeah.
jobs that exist,
That's
I think it's very marginal compared to the extreme examples that people use.
Yeah, but what's funny though is what you just said is you work at a job that's very predominantly female.
Yeah.
And that just kind of goes to show, but there are also a lot of other jobs, one of them being mine, that's very predominantly male.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you that there are jobs that that I would say require women more to do those jobs, and that they work better they fit those jobs better than the opposite sex would. And I would say the other thing for both. I mean, there are like what you were just probably about to get into was the because I don't think there's a wage gap. I think there is, but I think that it's not a bad thing because that sounds really bad on the surface.
It does
but-
sound really bad on the
I'm gonna
surface,
explain
but
myself.
explain.
I'm sorry. No, I think that like a lot of people say that women get paid blah blah, blah cents on the dollar, blah blah, blah whatever. But like I also think that they don't take I don't think there are really studies that go into the fact that, okay, well, let's say, there are this job, and this job that are very predominantly male that you don't have females doing. Like, I don't know, very labor intensive jobs that you never see any females doing that, but they get paid way more,
I would have to like honestly like look at statistics without like, because I feel like especially around like the wage gap thing, there's just like anecdotal stories to back up
There
every
is.
statistic and like twist it. You know what I mean? Like I'd
Yeah.
have to look at the numbers with like a clean mind, non-biased mind.
No, I understand, but
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, for somebody who doesn't believe it's as big as it is,
Yeah.
I know at least from Adam and my mom and some people who I know who are in the medical field.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it because again, when it comes to wage gap, I don't believe it entirely. But like,
Yeah.
Adam has predominantly like more leverage on his end for getting promoted as if he becomes a male nurse, like
Yeah.
officially. Like my mom has experienced multiple people over her years. She's been a nurse for 35 years.
Yeah.
Like, and every time a male nurse will come in, like they always get promoted higher than the females do.
And I think that's the problem. I think that there's less of a problem with like your actual wage gap, but there's more of a problem with like a business's leanings toward like promoting men and to giving them more opportunities and looking more highly on men they do on women. I think there's more of an issue there.
I think I would agree with you on that. I think there are more. And I think there are more issues at companies that think they have to hire certain people just because that they need more diversity, and that's a whole nother thing. Like, which is stupid. I don't think that's because, like you just said, your job is predominantly women for a reason. Probably because a lot of women are better at doing certain things, and men are better at doing certain things. Good God, I
think we could do an entire other podcast about diversity.
we probably,
and I really think we should.
I'm down. But
I don't know. Again, it's again, like she pointed out. I mean, it's just when it comes to the exceptions and anecdotal evidence, it's so hard to twist that because every field is different. Every field is different. I mean, you could argue that any gender could do any role.
yes, but,
To an extent,
but
you could argue
effectively not. Like
I would say on like, and somewhat of an agreement with you, I would say that like when it comes to a corporate industry where predominantly more executives are male,
yes,
more males are going to want to hire more males because they're
Yeah.
interacting with males and males know how to interact with males.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
And what I don't agree with,
communication is another thing.
what I don't agree with is like what happens is, so like there's a reason why I bring this up as an analogy, but like, so like, me, I'm, how's I gonna put this? It's like, I'm not, how like guys get, God, the train is leaving
Where's
the station
that
now.
hard? It's okay.
And I'm trying to catch a train as it's leaving me. What is the word? It's when guys like feel inept to women. Like if you come into a room like and you show them how much better of a woman you are, then the male gets upset because they're.
Oh, this because men are very prideful.
But there's a particular word I'm trying to find, and maybe it'll come to me.
All right.
Continue on with your story.
It's like when males are like 5'7" and a girl 6 foot, like insecure.
They have
Insecure.
insecure.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of times, and there's a lot of males that are so prideful in like being a male
Yeah.
that it's a lot of times it's because they're super insecure.
Oh,
like they're afraid like
yes.
if a woman
Yes.
comes in that like
and
they're
does a
gonna
better job.
is gonna like demasculate them
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
emasculate them.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the problem with where I think
Yeah.
like women can do a lot of good in corporate.
Yeah.
But there's a flip side to it, right? Like it's either way you look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think that women could do a lot better in corporate in certain situations with certain clients.
Yeah.
But there are also certain fields where, because it's predominantly male, sometimes you want to have that male to help grow relationships with other male predominant industries.
I also
Again, it's a catch-22 because it's like you could have either or in it.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like there's a female that works at my company, and she's like very intense.
Okay.
And she'll put any man in like his place. Like she's that
Damn straight.
She's very much that intense of a female, and sometimes it makes us very hesitant because there's certain clients that we want to get, and because she's so intense,
they
they don't want to work with us.
They don't. Yeah.
if that makes
because it's
sense.
kind of
Because
like
you
more
know
for
the
personality.
other person that you're trying to get goody with.
And the annoying part about it is like there are,
and you know they're not gonna like
it's
that.
a hard pill to swallow, but there are companies and businesses that are ran by men who don't want to work with women.
Yeah.
And I don't agree that they with their point of view on that. But because
you
it's
have
a
to
reality,
you have to tend to that
You
idea.
have to
Yeah.
appeal to that idea.
Yeah, you do.
So if you know, like for instance, like if we're gonna go and present to a certain client, and let's say we've already built a relationship with that client, and we know that client doesn't like to work with females, do we agree that that client has the best views? Absolutely
No,
not.
but
We're not gonna send an aggressive female to that client.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
You have to think of it from a business perspective.
Yeah, and that's the problem where people get swayed is
Where
like,
emotions
you have to look into it.
don't matter as much as the sorry as the business side. It's not business. It's not personal. It's business.
You know, and
Is that the same?
there are times where like if we didn't have a woman to sell it, we would have never gotten it. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that women aren't
Yeah.
needed in the situation.
And
What
women
I'm
are-
saying is that what women have to understand, or males both,
Yes, both.
have to understand is that there's certain situations that call for different genders. And
Yes,
as much
exactly.
of a hard pill as it is to
Yeah.
swallow, if you look at it from a business standpoint, it shouldn't
Yes.
matter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree.
because
I mean,
business makes people money.
like if I
Yeah, if it makes you money, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
You know, If
exactly.
you're rich, whatever, fuck it.
Exactly.
I mean, for like an instance, say you're an advertising company and you're trying to get a client and they make like female like menstrual products.
Sure.
You're not going to send a guy in there to
Exactly.
do a pitch.
Hell no.
Exactly.
Like that would be
Because
the
they're
most
all going to be
idiotic
like,
thing.
"This is not a commercial.
I'd be
this
calling
is a
you up
joke,
and being
right?"
like, Nicole, can you go in my place instead? Like,
Like I don't know what a tampon is. Help me.
Yeah.
is it pronounced tampon or tampon? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think at that point, you know, like to your point, if you have a client that you know, like say it's like more personal, it's not necessarily about the product, but you know, like they don't like to work with women or maybe they don't like to work with men, you know, at some point I think that the owner of the business or whoever's in charge can make a decision like, okay, listen, do we want to, are their views too strong and is it hurting our company culture?
Yeah.
And do we need to cut them out as a
Calculated
client?
risk. Calculated
That's it,
risk.
buddy.
But I mean, well,
But at the same time, there are
women's-
corporations that are bigger than small businesses that could be considered a client, and it's like sometimes it's hard to not want to say no to like $1 billion organization.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
make it at that point. For me personally, it'd be like a moral judgment.
That's
call.
the hard part about business because that's why they say like separate church from state. Like you're separating some of your views in life in order to make that
to
hard sacrifice
go along
to
with
get
business,
the business.
and yeah, I
you know,
agree.
like the company I work for is very religious, and you know we pray Mondays and Fridays. Like we're a very
Yeah.
Christian company.
Yeah.
But there are certain clients where sometimes we have to put that.
You have to put it aside.
Put
You have
it
to put your
aside
beliefs aside
to
to do
grow
your
the
job
business.
and grow the. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know,
But as a business, your leaders have the chance to, if we're working with somebody who they really didn't agree with their moral viewpoints and it got in the way of business, they can make the decision to say, you know what,
Oh, of
because of the way
course.
our company stands, we're not going to work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
and of course,
true,
I mean,
but-
we've
but-
obviously made that decision before.
Yeah.
But again, certain times in a business perspective, if you want to grow into the company
You've
want
got to
it
do
have-
certain
You
things.
do things you
Yeah.
don't want
you
to
have
do.
to
Yeah.
make certain sacrifices and put certain beliefs aside.
I agree. You have to
You know,
make
to
tough
make-
choices.
Yeah, because it's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I worked for Apple, I had this huge veil over my face that said, "Oh my God, it's such a wonderful company."
Yeah.
But then I realized
you're
how
like,
much
"Oh,
of a
God."
business it operates.
Yeah.
Because like, at the end of the day,
Don't look at
it
my
has-
iPhone.
But at the end of the day, it has to be a business.
Didn't you have an Android when you started working
That's
there?
I know that's the
Yeah,
funny
for like
thing.
the first 6 months, I had an
I
Android
remember
working at
that
Apple.
whenever you got the job, you're like, I have an Android.
By the way, yeah,
Because when I
women-
got the job, I hated Apple.
I know you did.
Women do such a good job though at selling stuff like like food or beer because they just shove women with big tits like on the screen and they're like, yeah, just buy because all the guys that they're trying to sell these products to, like, oh cool, tits, I want to buy it.
Yeah, we were talking about this literally the other
Right?
day.
I mean, you know
'Cause
this. That's true.
I do. He sent me an ad. He's like, "Why is this? This is like for teeth whitening, and all I can look at is this chick's tits."
Because of marketing, right?
Yeah, and I'm like,
advertising.
okay. Yeah. And I was like, well,
I gotta
if they're,
find it.
if
And I feel bad for the audience because they're not going
I
to see
have
what
it
is,
in my
but-
text
yeah.
messages.
Well, show me off air.
Okay.
But that's like an example. Like you gotta certain males are good for certain things and females are good for other things. It's like
Yeah.
Again, it's a
is-
gray thing, not a black and white. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
exactly.
in today's age, when you have people who are speaking out based on their anecdotal evidence, they look at it from
you
a
have to
very
be like,
black and
well,
white.
you have
Yes.
to agree with this and you have to believe all women.
Yeah.
Like, no, sorry, I'm not gonna believe. Dude,
Oh, that is hilarious. That woman has giant tits.
She does.
And like
when
that's
I looked at
a
that-
dentist? That's
I was gonna say, yeah, I was like, I didn't. It's like the
Can I
meme.
have her be my dentist?
It's like the meme where it's like, oh, I didn't know there were teeth there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like the South Park commercial where they show all the little kids. They're like, all right, show me they show like this naked woman, and it's like, they're like, all right, we're going to show you a picture, and then we're going to ask you a question afterward. They show a naked woman to all these little boys, and they're like, all right, now what color was the handkerchief in the nice lady's hand? And then they're all like, what handkerchief?
Yeah.
I will say, and maybe this is not appropriate for the podcast, but
Whatever.
you can
What?
put it out.
I don't care.
I will say, like, having tits can get you things in life sometimes.
know it can.
Because
Exactly.
I've played this experiment many times,
Oh yeah,
and I've gotten
But
dudes
you
to
know
do
what?
crazy things for
we
me.
don't. We don't. You don't hear us guys bitching about, well, we don't have tits, so we can't get free drinks at the bar. We don't care. We're the one buying them.
Well, you're the one who's buying the free drinks for
That's what I'm
us.
saying. It's never the other way. It's specific to males and specific to people. Like it's the way it is.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing: if a guy came like up to like a door frame and he put his arms up and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'd be like, "I'll buy you a drink."
But not every. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
but
enough.
the amount of times that happens.
I know.
It's it happens much more the other way around.
It
I'm
does.
sure.
I agree.
So I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, there's a billion things I could talk
well,
about.
yes,
you
but
know.
right now that you have the energy for, because I don't know how much more energy I have.
I don't know. Like the topic
Fail.
the topic I have in my head right now is like why people make the choice to become transgender. That's what's on my head right now.
I honestly
And,
wanted
like,
to have a.
and that's
see
like
if I could find a trans person to have
you know what?
on.
Like let's try to have a quick conversation about this. And by
Okay.
quick, it's not gonna be quick.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because we have a female, right? So
Yeah.
my opinion, and it's just an opinion, is that sometimes boys or girls will choose to be the opposite sex because they feel like their particular sex is it's hard, and they feel like if they become the other sex, it might be easier for them. Like for instance, with
I can agree with that.
the guy who turned into a girl or whatever,
Yes.
like he was a pretty decent friend of mine, but
I
he
was
got
going to
picked
mention
on,
the name, but yeah, go ahead.
He got picked on extensively. Like,
oh yeah,
really, really, really.
we
bad.
hated each other, by the way.
But like the idea is like the whole school made fun of him a lot, and there's a couple people I can think of for some reason people
Yeah.
just picked on him a lot, and it's horrible. Part of me thinks, besides something else that may be going on in his head, that maybe he thought if I became a female,
Yeah.
maybe people can't pick on me as much because
Yeah.
I'm a girl and I'm not supposed to get picked on.
Yeah, that's
I feel
a
like
that's
I feel
a
like,
that's a deep.
I feel like some
mental
unintelligent
problem.
guys may have that thought process, and I'm curious what you may think, like if that's a possibility.
That's an interesting perspective, and I haven't thought of it that way before. But I will say,
That's all we try and do.
somebody who's trans, who is changing from a woman to a man or a man to a woman, is so much more difficult than being bullied in high school. I mean, it is unimaginably more difficult than being
I'm
made
sure it
fun
is.
of.
I'm sure it
so
doesn't
it's not
help.
really the easy. It's not really the easy way. From my perspective, I really don't think it is. And
But don't you think? I mean, like, because the you've seen statistics or suicide rates for trans people and all that stuff. It's
Yeah,
incredibly
it's
high.
sad.
You don't think that mental illness has any sort of like play in that? Because I think it's incredible amount. I think that and
Yeah.
again. And this is what pisses me off about a lot of the times when I say that, and it sounds harsh, and it may be whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the people like that have that mental illness, it doesn't mean they're not a person. It's not
Yeah.
it's not like oh you have a mental illness, so you mean that I shouldn't be a human or I shouldn't deserve to look like no
Yeah.
fuck no, I never said that. I'm like, I will still treat you like if I'm gonna talk to you like I do a normal person in society. I'm gonna be civil to you. I just don't agree with what you're doing.
But I hear
Right?
your point, and I think something we have to do too is like define mental illness, because I think that it does sound harsh,
Yeah.
but a lot of it, so many mental illnesses are like any other disease. Like it's a chemical thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's not just like, oh, like you have a fucked up mind.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's a
it's
physical
chemicals.
thing. Yeah.
It's
So-
like having diabetes or anything else. It's chemicals. So
And it's not
So
all the
I would
times
say-
their fault.
I would say either way you
exactly,
look at it.
right?
it's not all the times. It's not like their fault, and it's
Yes.
you know, and it you can or cannot agree with it personally. And I haven't done like a ton of research, so I'm somewhat ignorant. But I can't really say somebody, well, I don't agree with that. If that's like saying I don't agree, I don't. That's like somebody with diabetes saying I'm diabetic.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't agree that
It's
you're
like
diabetic.
you. I don't agree with you, but you do you. But you can't all. Also, there's the other side of that is you can't expect everyone else to just throw biology out the window and address you how you want to be addressed because you want it that way. It's like we can't just be like, oh well, like then again consequences to actions. Then we're gonna have to start changing. Like you want us to use certain pronouns that aren't even in the fucking dictionary. Like
Here's what I have.
then nothing matters.
Here's what I have to say on it.
Words don't matter. Like
So, remember the time when like being gay started becoming the new media
cool thing to do because I feel
don't-
like
don't
it still
wanna-
is.
I'm not going there. What I'm saying is like
I will.
prior to Barack Obama making getting married like as a gay person legal. Like remember when
Did he
people
do that, by the way?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He
So
did.
remember back when like people would be like, I don't agree with you being gay, but if you keep in the household, I don't care. And I feel like a lot of the predominantly people who are gay who are males,
Yeah.
like were never very forceful with the fact that they were gay. Like they were usually gay and they usually kept it to themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that lesbians had a problem with that, but I do say that like trans people have a problem with forcing people
Yeah. That's another thing.
I
to
hear
accept
ya.
them out in public. And it's like, I don't think anybody would actually care if
it's
you're trans
It's becoming
if you kept it like within the quote unquote
Yeah.
household or whatever. Like
you're not
a
aggressive
person's
about
a
it.
person, and if they accidentally call you by the wrong pronoun or whatever that it is, like you shouldn't be so aggressive and say like they're wrong.
Sure.
I would say that understand that person probably doesn't know, and if they don't care, they're not going to address it that way, and just live with that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
And they're
You
not
shouldn't
gonna
get
they're not
thrown
gonna
in
hang you for
prison.
being a trans person. They're
You
just not gonna
shouldn't-
they're not gonna agree with calling you whatever pronoun that is
Yeah.
because that's what they see is you are a male or a female.
You shouldn't get thrown in prison for addressing someone the wrong way, which has happened now, unfortunately.
well, I think
in other
Well,
countries.
yeah.
And
think
I don't want that to become here.
And I'm
I don't
speaking
think
on
it,
something
I don't
not
think
that
it
right-
will. I don't think
Well,
it will. I really don't think it will.
I hope not either, because this is like the
in Canada
last.
it already is.
Well, you're not.
in
if,
the UK too.
They're not just gonna throw you in jail if somebody's like, she, and they're like, no, I'm a him.
Well,
throw it
I
into
mean,
jail.
that's-
It's not-
Canada, that's a law now.
No,
that-
there's so much.
but
You're simplifying it. Like there's
no,
so
no,
much that
but,
goes
but,
into
but,
that.
But the principle, like that should not be a thing. Whether
Well,
it doesn't
yeah.
whether it happens or not, it shouldn't be a law to begin with.
Well, that's like, I mean, yeah, I think that there's a lot that goes into it, but
Yeah.
I think that I think if you're looking at it from,
Again, be civil. Like that's
yeah, well, and I
Yeah.
think if you're looking at it from like a mental illness perspective, which is basically you're saying like
Yes.
there's like a chemical thing that's happening, which is why that they feel this way.
Yeah.
Because there's chemicals at play
Yeah.
here. It's very challenging from a scientific perspective to say, well, I don't agree with that
Yeah.
if it's chemicals.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really
Yeah, I mean,
if it's
I
an
just-
opinion,
I
like,
don't.
yeah,
I'm gonna be
but-
civil
I
with
just
you,
feel
but
like
when
people are treating the trans thing like the way that people treated gay people back in the day.
Well, I think
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You know, because everybody was like, I don't
but it's
agree with
more
you being
but
gay.
it's more extreme now.
But now it's different because it's like people are forcing you to call them by something that
that's where
they feel like they should be called.
and that's where we the
Whereas
consequences
with gay
of
people, it wasn't
changing
really like
words
much of a force.
and that has severe consequences.
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm
Yeah.
trying to collect all of them. I don't think it's, I mean, and I have to say, like, I haven't been approached, like, by a trans person in an aggressive manner, and I know that has happened to a lot of
Right.
people. I just
Yes.
haven't personally like had that experience.
Unfortunately, it ends up on social media quite a bit.
It does. But if I said somebody's name by the wrong, whatever, if I called them a she and they prefer to be called a he, and if they would say, hey, would you just call me he instead? That's what I identify. Like, I would say, yeah, whatever. I really don't care. And I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do. Like, to me, that sounds like a little bit like
No,
immature. Honestly,
no, it
if they get
does.
aggressive
It
about
does.
it, I'll be like if they
I'll
get
just
pissed off,
leave.
they're like, I'm a he. What the fuck is your
Yeah,
problem?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'd be like, okay,
Like,
you're crazy, bye. You know,
like, you don't even want to talk to them.
No, I'd be
again,
like,
it's
fuck off.
like like circling back and going to the golden rule of just
Yes.
be respectful,
Be
and
respectful.
don't be an ass and just be civil to one another.
Yes, I
we'll
agree.
all be fine. Like
I agree. Just be so, and I think that it goes
which
both
sounds
ways.
so hippie like and so,
No, but it's
like,
so true.
Just all get along, man. We'll be fine.
Smoke some weed. But I think that that's a really good point.
But like everyone
though.
needs to chill.
Everybody does need to chill.
The political environment, everything's just heating up, and it just keeps getting more
Yes.
heated and more heated,
Yeah.
and it's not helping anything.
I agree with you, and I think that, I mean, to your point, like we should treat others how we want to be treated. That goes for us. That goes for people who are trans.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes both
Any
ways.
race, who cares?
Who cares? Like it really goes all ways. So
Just
yeah,
be
to
a
your point,
contributing member to society.
just don't be a shitty person.
Yeah, that too. Exactly.
Anyway, that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm not very.
We're gonna have to do another podcast for sure, because
I
this is the
know.
longest one we've ever done, and we're still not done.
Yeah,
so
I mean, we could talk about so much more. But, so I don't know.
definitely.
Yeah,
This
it's
is-
not an easy question to tackle, and
Yeah.
obviously,
No,
it
it's
being a
not.
podcast, we're just going to tackle it with as much opinion or
Yeah.
information we have to back it. If we don't, we don't. It's just an opinion.
Yeah,
you know,
and
based
that's
on
my
our
thing is like I'm
experience.
not.
Yeah, if you
I'm
want
not
to listen
super
to this
educated.
podcast, fuck off.
Yeah, true. I'm not very educated, so like, well, I'm not educated on the topic of trans.
those topics,
On
yes.
trans specifically is what I'm speaking of. So I can't, I can't back it up with anything. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, all right, well. Nicholas, you about to fall asleep over there? Do I
Yep.
need you to give you a save shot?
It's oh God, no. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, we
now.
got to work in the morning.
Oh, I don't have work in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Are you off for President's Day?
That's so
I
gay.
am.
Suck
That's so gay.
ass.
I'm just kidding. Are you salary or hourly?
I'm salaried.
Hell's you.
That's cool. So then days off don't affect you.
I just am really lucky and I have an amazing job.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
that's
And I work
cool.
from
That's good.
home.
That's good.
So
Oh, that's cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I couldn't do that. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
it's challenging.
Yeah.
It has its own set of challenges.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again sometime. This is we need more guests on more frequently, anyways, and we've got a list of people that we would like to have on and like to have back. So there's that.
Can I please come back?
Of course, of course. We've got so many people's wishes to fulfill, Nick.
I know.
You guys are just so popular.
We're just so giving. You
Really
know?
not, but okay.
And we have like a total of like 30 views average per video. Oh my God. Well, it would
Yeah.
be more if it wasn't
Yeah.
the fact that we're currently relying on YouTube to be our outlet.
Oh my-
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
y'all
trying.
gotta-
We're trying to change that.
Okay.
There's a laundry list of reasons why we're only on YouTube at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'm sure it's a
we're
process.
we're
in the-
currently working on trying to be on
it's a
different
process.
outlets.
Thank you, Jason Garrett.
So we were on SoundCloud for the first couple episodes, but when you don't have a SoundCloud premium account, you're only allowed to have up to 3 hours of uploads.
Really?
Which is fine if
Okay.
you're a musician and your songs are 3 minutes, but when
Yeah.
your podcast episode is over an hour long,
You're kind of screwed.
you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the podcast app, you have to create what's called an RSS feed,
Okay.
which I'm not particularly familiar with. And
I'm not either.
I'm-
I
actually.
can help you.
I was gonna say if somebody could help us
Sweet.
create that so we could be on that, then
If
it'd be a
anyone
different
else
story.
that's listening would like to help, feel free.
Yeah.
Slide into my DMs,
Yeah.
please. That I don't ever hardly check. I don't know where you would either. I guess Facebook. Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
if you know my name, you'll find it.
It'll be me.
I don't
'cause
get
I'm
on
the one who posts
Facebook.
it, yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, slide into Nick's DMs, not mine. I don't
Yeah.
like talking to people.
Whatever, it's fine. I don't care.
I'm just kidding. All right. Well.
All right. On that note,
See y'all
I'm gonna
later.
go blow my brains out.
Oh, don't do that, please.
my
Please don't do that.
Aggressive?
He always has to just have some sort of awful ending.
Yeah.
Of,
Can you be happy, please?
No.
An absurd pipe dream.
Yeah.
It's like, well.
Happiness is
all
a
right,
figment
I
of
tried.
imagination. And
Gosh, you're so sad.
just kidding.
All right, see ya.